Peace to the family. Peace to the family. I say shalom, shalom, shalom to everybody. Sorry to have kept y'all waiting. I know that I said 4 o'clock. Then I pushed it back to 4:30. So I'm late, but I'm still early. How about that? How's everybody doing today? We'll wait for a few brothers and sisters to get in. I see y'all starting to come in here. Hopefully everybody had a blessed Sabbath yesterday. Hopefully everybody's nice and rested and ready to go back and be slaves on tomorrow, right? While I'm waiting, I want to wait for more people to come in. So while I'm waiting, man, that video I did yesterday stirred up some controversy. I knew it would. Response videos have been made, which I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch because it's just irrelevant. It's not necessary and it's not relevant to anything. And you can't tell me when you come on my live stream that I got to interrupt what I'm talking about to talk about what you want me to talk about. That's not happening. Because if I let you do that, then you sonning me. You know what I'm saying? And none of you new Israelites, none of you dudes, none of you YouTube Israelites that came in since you've been came into the truth since you've been YouTubing around, none of you dudes is gonna tell me what to do. Sorry. Like, I'm the most humble brother, y'all all know it. But none of you new YouTube dudes is gonna come here and run nothing. That's not happening, man. A lot of y'all dudes is my sons, straight up. And that's real talk. You know what I'm saying? Not my physical sons, but a lot of y'all are my sons. You came into the truth watching me. What I look like when you come on my live stream dictating what? That's not happening. I'm just keeping it real. That's not going to happen. Y'all see the title today? We're going to be talking about High Holy Days today, family. High Holy Days. The purpose of the give me a second here. The purpose of the live stream and the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm getting asked a lot of questions about High Holy Days. Okay, so I figured since I'm getting a lot of questions about High Holy Days that I would go ahead and talk about it because going into the new year, there were some questions about Passover, particularly, right? So we're going to get into that today. Just waiting for a few more brothers and sisters to come in. Do me a favor, those of you that are on the live stream, y'all know the drill. In order for us to bring more people in, the science behind YouTube is in order for us to bring more people in, you have to hit the like button. The more of you that hit the like button is the more that this is going to show up on other people's when they log into YouTube, and they'll be able to come in as well. All right. So make sure that everybody in the house hits the like button. All right. Moderators, my moderators, y'all do a great job for me, and I appreciate y'all. Right. Because of the subject that we have today, you already know brothers is going to come in. You already know brothers is going to be arguing on the comment boards. You guys have the absolute right to block people, but not if they're disagreeing. If they're being disagreeable and disrespectful, then block them, definitely, absolutely. But if they don't agree, then they don't agree. All right, that's what we're here for. We're here to give edification, and each and every man has to be fully persuaded in their own mind. That's the key. All right, so let's see what's going on here. I got about almost 40 people in the house. All right, so more y'all coming in. So I'm just going to make a couple of announcements really quickly, and then I'm going to bring in my guests that I have online with me today. Just give me a second here, guys. So y'all can see what's on my screen, right? Passover January the 24th to January 27th, you have the Hebrew Israelite Summit that's going on in Atlanta, the Masharah Yasha'Allah Summit going on in Atlanta. It's from the 24th of January to the 27th. If it be the Most High's will, I'm going. I've been a lot of places, but Atlanta is one of the few places I've never been. That's one of the reasons why I'm going, as well as I want to meet up with my Israelite family, of course. So if you're in the area, if you can make it, please come down to the summit. I would love to meet a lot of y'all brothers and sisters. It'll be a beautiful thing. It'll be an honor to meet a lot of y'all. So if you are able to come on down. You know what I'm saying? If you need any information, then just reach out to me, and I'll reach out to the people that are actually hosting the summit, and we'll try to get you whatever information you need. But most high will, I'm definitely going to be down there. Also, Passover 2019 is being held in Cleveland, Ohio. Passover 2019 is in Cleveland, Ohio. All right. It's the Maccabeestv Alliance. You have 7 camps that came together the last 3 years to do the Passover. Last year we had it in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. It was beyond capacity filled. It was a beautiful thing. We had a great time in the spirit of the Most High and His Son. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. This year, we're having it in Cleveland, Ohio. You do not have to be a part of any of the 7 camps to come. If you don't have a camp, if you're not a part of a camp, if you are an individualite and you want to come to the Passover, you're welcome. It's in Cleveland, Ohio. Most High will, I'll be getting some flyers made up soon for the Passover. And so once I get those up, I'll be putting them up every live stream. And I do hope to see a lot of you brothers and sisters at the Passover. I'd love to see y'all brothers and sisters, especially if I've never had the blessing of meeting you. Then I definitely would love to see you at the Passover, Most High as well. All right. So I see my guest stepped away from his computer for a moment. So shout out to everybody in the Most High as well. All right. All right. Oh, let me. I always forget to mute my volume. Always forget. Somebody might have to put. Somebody might have to put. Shalom, family. Sister Amawana, Ephraimite McGunn, Sister Malika, Lions of Israel in the building. I see y'all heavy. My brother Dwayne Yosef, my brother Ben, my moderators. It's gonna get a little hot up in here. Once the trolls come in, I'm telling y'all, it's gonna get a little hot up in here. You know, the disagreeable folks that just come to people's live streams to argue on the comment boards. So I'm telling y'all, my moderators, please just let them talk. If they're not being disrespectful, they have a right to disagree. All right, if they're not being disrespectful. But if they are disrespectful, at your discretion, you could kick them out. I don't care. All right. Now, with that being said, you guys see the title of the video today. The video is titled "The Importance of Keeping High Holy Days in Their Season." That's an extremely, extremely important thing to do, right? So, based on, and I'm speaking basically on the high holy day calendar that we use. Everybody, you know, some of you brothers and sisters, you know, you kept Passover at a different time than us last year. You kept your Feast of Dedication feast at a different time than us last year, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But most of them were pretty much within the same time frame. So based on when we had the Feast of Dedication recently, and when we're going to have the Feast of Purim in 2019, what's happening is that there are brothers that are coming to me asking me, why are we having Passover in April? Because based on the way we had our calendar last year, we are actually having Passover 1 month later. The way the calendar fell, we would have been having it within the first 2 weeks of March, right? So people have been coming forward asking me why that is. So what I did was I reached out to my brother, Elder Matthias of the Apostles of New Jerusalem. And basically what happened was, you know, us, the Maccabees Alliance, we had a council. And what we did during the council was we broke it down why we having the Passover in April and not March. So I brought my brother on so he can share the information with you. You take the information and you do with it what you want to do with it. As the old saying goes, you chew the meat, you spit out the bones. It's as simple as that. All right. So let me just do one other thing and I'm going to bring my guest right on. I don't want to keep him waiting too long. Give me 1 more second. I'm just trying to share this to social media and then we'll be good to go. All right. One last thing. All right. Excellent. All right. So without any further ado, brothers and sisters that's on the line, if y'all could share this on social media, do so, because there's a lot of people that need this information that don't have it. A lot of people are going to miss the introduction, but they can always go back and watch it later. Without any further ado, brothers and sisters, I want to take this opportunity to introduce to y'all the ones of you that don't know this brother. And if you don't know him, it's simply because the brother's not really big on social media. The brother has a personal life. So he does not really big on social media. He doesn't really be on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook a whole lot. But this brother is absolutely, and I know the scriptures speak about praising other men. I know he's a very humble brother. But this brother is a certified brother in Israel. This is my brother, man. This is my brother. We ain't come from the same mother and father, but this is my brother. You know, this brother back, you know, at One West, when we were in push-up position in the troop program, if I look to my left, I saw Bun Lawya on my left. If I look to my right, I saw Elder Matthias on my right, man. This is my brother. Brother, very wise brother in the knowledge, very knowledgeable brother. And the Most High gave him his gift, which is the Hebrew and also dealing with the calendar, etc. The Most High gave this brother a gift. Everybody has a gift. You know, I'm good with the history. I'm good with the scriptures. This brother's good with the scriptures. He's good with the Hebrew and the calendar, so forth and so on. So rather than me get on here and go over it, I brought somebody on at the Most High gave to exercise his gift. So brothers and sisters, without further ado, I'd like to introduce y'all to Elder Matthias or Elder Mathathyahwah of the Apostles of New Jerusalem. Shalom, King. Good to have you on Maccabeestv again.
Hey, Shalom, King. What's good?
All praise to the Most High. And I see you have another brother with you if he wants to introduce himself as well.
Bro, this is
Danyaahla.
the deacon. I'm Danyaahla over here.
What's up, Deacon? Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen y'all. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. All praises. All right, all right, all right. So, Matthias, you know what I'm saying? I know we're going to get into our subject, but could you just give people a brief introduction to yourself that don't know you, your camp, so forth and so on?
My camp, well, you know, I started out at One West back in '92. So started from there. Then we went down to the House of David, of course, which was originally AOC's name. A little history right there. Before they changed it to the House of, before they changed it to the Ambassadors of Christ, they were the House of David once everybody left. From the House of David, we started a camp out in Newark, New Jersey, HYK, Hayashua Kanaz, which means the Church of Israel. But before that, I was already out there because I was living in Jersey, and I used to teach with Ariam and Iwalam a lot. Those brothers, we had a school up in Brick Towers. If anybody knows Newark back in the days in the 90s, Brick Towers, we were teaching out of that school. And from that point, you know, I stayed out there. We formed a Hayashua Kanaz. And now we're the Apostles of New Jerusalem, based out of Newark, New Jersey. We teach out of Newark, New Jersey. We teach in Patterson. We teach all over New Jersey, but we also teach in Brooklyn, New York, also on Fulton and Nostrand. So, you know, I'm out here. And,
all praise to the Most
I'm
High.
out here in these streets. I'm not big on the Facebook, as you know, the YouTube, and you know, which brothers are pressing me to get more involved on it because the wisdom that I give to brothers. So brothers are pressing me more to be on it, you know. And a lot of the times you'll see me with HOI on feast days, teaching with HOI. You know, when the elders are boxing in LA, you know, I'll teach with the elder Torah on some of their feast days when I have the time to do so. You know, I love congregating with brothers, and I love the brotherhood. So it's Torah. And if anybody's got any questions after this and they want to know more, I'll definitely be down there in Atlanta. I'll definitely be down there in Atlanta during Mashara Yasharala to see brothers, because I'm going down. I was going down that weekend anyway to see my children. So I'm definitely going down there. So I'll be down there for that weekend. So if you have any more questions, just ask me. We don't have a debate because it's not even a debate. This is just bringing out knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But if you got questions, further questions, you can hit me up on my inbox on my Facebook page, Mathathyahwah Lawya, or just see me in Atlanta next month.
All praise to the Most High. Also, I see that my brother, the elder from my camp, Elder Zahab, is also in the building. So I'll be coming to him shortly in a minute. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with the conversation. So family, listen to me carefully, right? The elder Matthias, the elder Mathathyahwah, we call him Matthias. That's the Greek transliteration. I'm so used to it, man. So, you know, but elder Mathathyahwah, we'll be taking questions, right? But I want to be very clear to brothers and sisters. You can put your questions inside the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat. I will take your questions. But as he said, this is not a debate. We're not here to debate anybody. And only serious and sincere questions are going to be posed to him. Like if you're on here just to be an arguelite, an instigatorite, you know what I'm saying, or whatever else that you come to do, then you can just go ahead and do that. And if you get disrespectful, you're going to be blocked. But I will be taking questions. The brother is open to questions if you don't know, but let them be sincere questions, all right? So let's start off like this, Matthias. So we had Passover, we had a Feast of Dedication in December, right?
Done.
Based on the way the calendar works, Passover was supposed to fall somewhere within the first 2 weeks of March, right?
It would have fell like it would have actually fell if we wouldn't have added a 13th moon. It would have actually fell March 18th to be exact.
It would have fell on March 18th. So you just made a statement. So let's start there. That's a very good starting point. You said that you added a 13th moon. Okay. So I want you to explain to people what that is. What is it called? Because there's a word for it. What is it called when you add a 13th moon, and why would you do it? Is it biblical? Why would you do something like that?
The reason why you have to add a intercalary, a 13th moon, I just call it a 13th moon just to make it basic, is because Israel, everything Israel did in the past was based off farming and agricultural. Now, when you check out the history of our people, all of our feast days are based off of the harvest seasons. Like, for example, the Passover is the beginning of the harvest season, the barley season. That's when it starts, around the beginning of the barley season. Then when you go into the first fruits of what? You understand? You have to ask yourself, the first fruits of what? The first day of the first fruits is the end of the barley season. So that first day will be a Sabbath day. Then you will make your sacrifice according to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Then you will count 49 days.
Salakia. Matthias, Salakia. I'm monitoring the comment boards and people are saying you're a little low. Is it possible for you to do something with your volume?
Can you hear me now?
Family, can y'all hear him now? Just say something else. Matthias.
Can you hear me now?
If he sounds a little better, just talk for a second, and I'm going to ask him if he sounds a little better. Just talk a little bit.
Good. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna talk now. I'm gonna see if I can add it to my speaker. Can you hear me now? Is it clearer? Is it louder? Testing 1 2 1 2. Is it louder now? Or no? Can you hear me? Yes, no.
See, some people are saying very low. Some people are saying perfectly fine. So I don't know. I mean, I'm on the live with you, so I hear you pretty good.
Because I put up, unfortunately, because of Satan and technical difficulties, I couldn't hook up my computer because it doesn't have a video camera. My laptop just broke, so I'm on my cell phone doing it. So if people can, for all the low people, can you hear me now? Or do they need me to speak up louder?
Okay, so what I did was I just raised the volume for you on my end. Hopefully that'll do something. So just say something else real quick and let's see if they can hear you now. All right, family.
Testing. Shalom.
One more time.
Shalom.
All right, family. How does that sound? If it sounds good, hit 1. If it sounds good, hit 1. One more time, Matthias.
Shalom.
Some people are saying better. People are saying it's okay. All right. I think it's better. Moderators, is he better? Is he better, moderators?
I definitely speak louder, so I'll be in camp mode.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
In camp mode.
Family, we're gonna turn on camp mode for y'all. You're gonna turn on camp mode for y'all. It looks like you're a little better. People saying they can hear you, so we're gonna go ahead and get it on. So we're gonna start again. We're gonna start again. Some of y'all couldn't hear him. So the brother said something about adding a 13th month to the calendar. So I want you to start over from the beginning. Why would you add a 13th month if Passover is supposed to fall March 18th? Why would you be adding a 13th month to the calendar? What is it called, and what's the purpose of doing something like that?
The 13th month is just a 13th new moon. That's what I call it, because it's like this. All of our feast days, our main feast days, especially when you read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, are based around harvest seasons. So you have to understand what harvest seasons these feast days are based around, because Israel were what? Farmers. So when we came into the land of Israel, what people have to understand is the first thing we had to do after we celebrated the Passover was give a first fruits offering to the Most High that gave us that land. So that's why when we first got into the land, what happened? We gave a first fruit offering. Because remember, when you check out during the time of Joshua, the Passover, that last Passover was held. Shortly after that, we started to invade the land. Once we started to invade the land, the Most High told us, listen, the first thing you need to do is give me a first fruit offering. So when you check out the first fruit offering, that was during the time of the Feast of First Fruits. That's when you tithe. That's when you're tithing your crops, because tithing is just more than crops. Unlike people have to realize that it's more than just crops. Tithing is everything. When Abraham went to the war, he was tithe. He wasn't just collecting crops. He had cattle, he had servants, he had everything. So tithing is more than just crops, but it's just during the time of first fruits. That's when you tithe your crops. So now when you go into the history and you check out the Passover always began during the time of the beginning of the barley harvest. And the Passover and the barley harvest always ended during what? The first day of the first fruits. The first day of the first fruits is the first fruits of your barley harvest. The 50th day of your first fruits is what? The first fruits of your wheat harvest. So knowing that right there, you have to understand that no matter what happens, those feast days have to fall around that time of year during your barley harvest and during your wheat harvest. Then you have, when you go into Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and you read from the 33rd chapter to the 44th, of the 33rd verse to the 44th verse, it talks about the Feast of Tabernacles. But then it also tells you that the Feast of Tabernacles also was your ingathering. What were you ingathering? You were ingathering what? The rest of your crops for the year's end. Okay? So every feast day that we have, every main feast day that we have is guaranteed to have to be around a harvest day. So, for example, in order to understand how you farm, you don't farm by a lunar calendar. You can't farm by a lunar calendar. You have to farm by what? A solar calendar. So Israel had to understand both a lunar calendar and a solar calendar. You had to understand a solar calendar for what? Your farming, because that's how the sun revolves, evolves around the earth, and that's how everything operates. So you have to understand, you have to basically understand a 365-day period dealing with your agriculture. But now when you're dealing with your lunar calendar, that's not 365 days. A lunar calendar, a month is 29 or 30 days. Some months have 29 days in it. Some months have 30 days, which equals up to 354 days. So knowing that your solar calendar will be 365 days, your lunar calendar will be 354 days. Every year, you're always going to lose 11 days. So in the third year, you're going to be 33 days behind what? A solar calendar. So in order to compensate celebrating your first fruits in the proper season, when your barley is actually going to grow, you always have to add that extra 13th moon every 2 or 3, it's between 2 and 3 years. You have to do it, or 3 or 4 years. You have to do it though, because if not, your Passovers will be in the winter, your first fruits will be in the winter, all of your seasons will go out of season, all of your feast days will be out of season, because your 3 main feast days are definitely in a harvest season. And without that, how can we give our first fruit offering unto the Most High? So, for example, right? Every year, every solar year, a lunar year falls every day, 11 days behind. So if you actually look at a solar calendar, like if you look at Esau's calendar and you wanted to know the Passover for next year, once you have it, just count 11 days back. That'll give you your answer for your Passover. You see what I'm saying? So but what people have to get the basic understanding of is separating a solar calendar from a lunar calendar. They're 2 totally different things. Esau and the other nations, they go by a solar calendar, as far as the way they tell time. We go by a lunar calendar. But all nations use a solar calendar in order to deal with their agriculture, because the solar calendar deals with what? The sun. You understand? That's where you get the words soul from, sun. So that's the only way you're going to be able to deal with your crops. If you deal with a solar calendar, you're not going to be able to do it with a lunar calendar, because then when you just think of farming in general, only thing the moon does to the seed is sprout the seed. The sun does everything else as far as the growing of the seed and everything else. That's it. So you need to understand both of them. And a lot of our people, when I look at the confusion on Facebook, a lot of our people don't realize we use both. As farmers, you have to use both. You have to know when to plant, and you have to know what to plant in what season that it's going to be in, because you can't plant wheat in a certain season. You can't plant barley in a certain season. Apples won't grow in a certain season. So knowing all these things, you have to know the basics of what you plant in what type of in what season of the year, but also you have to understand that a lunar calendar and a solar calendar, they're always going to be intertwined with each other as long as you're an Israelite, because you need to understand both of them.
Okay, so this year we came up with the date of April 19th for Passover, right? If I'm not correct, I'm correct, right? So next year, you said that the calendar would fall, the solar calendar would have you fall back 11 days every year, correct?
Correct.
So next year, if we take away 11 days from the 19th, what do you get to
what's that, the
the
8th?
The 9th, the 8th? I believe it's the 8th.
It'd be the 8th.
So now so in 2020, would the 8th,
but the thing about it is it'll still be in the barley wheat season. That's the thing.
So it's still be in the barley wheat season. So the name of the month that you add on, the 13th month that you add on, is called an intercalary month, correct?
Right.
So I'm giving that information so the family can go ahead and go on and look into this information for yourself. It's called an intercalary month. Not all camps deal with intercalary months. I know it's not something everybody deals with. That's why you have some camps that have the Passover in March, and you have some camps that's having the Passover in April. Like I know for particularly one camp yesterday, they were on my comment boards. They told me they're having Passover like the second week of March.
Right.
So
and that's the winter time.
Right. That's still the winter time. Right. Correct.
It's like this. People can go to the scripture and say, "Oh, well, Peter was warming his hands by the fire." So what? It's springtime. It snows in the springtime. It snowed plenty of times in the springtime. People have to realize when seasons change, it's just not going to go from once the last day of winter hits, then the first day of spring. It's just not going to go from 30 degrees to all of a sudden 60, 70 degrees. It doesn't work like that. When winter ends and spring begins, that just means the earth is thawing out. That's all that it means. And the earth is reawakening, because from fall, from the beginning of fall till the winter time, the earth goes to sleep. How does it go to sleep? The leaves fall off the trees. They don't die. They just go to sleep. They hibernate. Everything goes in a hibernation stage, because that's the period when life is just not really. Who's out here in the cold in the streets? Besides Israel, anyway, teaching. You understand? Besides Israel teaching, anyway. But it's not as crowded. Even man, for example, in the wintertime, you see more people out in the summertime than you do in the winter. People hibernate. So the leaves, the trees, and all life basically hibernates and goes into a stage of sleep until it's spring. So, but now when the springtime comes, everything starts to reawaken. So if you don't have that understanding, of adding that 13th new moon, that interlineary moon, all your feast days are going to just be way out of season. You're going to be eventually in 6 years, your Passover will be in February. If you don't add a new moon now, your Passover will be smack dab in the middle of winter. And then that means your first fruits. Again, your first fruits is when you tithe the Most High. You gave the Most High your crop tithes. How are you going to give him your offering if it's in the middle of the winter? It's just not going to work. So you have to add that 13th moon in order to accommodate your days falling in a proper season. Because when you deal with winter, spring, summer, fall, that's dealing with a solar calendar, not a lunar calendar. Winter, spring, summer, fall, the days of the seasons of the year fall under a solar calendar, not a lunar calendar. A lunar calendar is just how we accumulate our days, years, and our times. So it's two totally different things. Like I want to read this thing in an almanac, right? Because see, what a lot of people don't realize is certain things, like when you deal with the Most High and you deal with the science of the Most High, all the science of the Most High, the basics are in Genesis, right? Then you have some science of the Most High, like it talks about in Corinthians, all flesh not being the same flesh. You got some science of the Most High when it refers to the planets and kings and how they were worshiping them. But once you get the basic understanding of the science that's given to you in the scriptures, you have to start doing what? Going out and researching the rest on your own by using the scriptures as your basis and then getting an understanding and taking it from there. Like you have to understand, you know, how to separate a solar calendar. First of all, you have to understand what a lunar calendar is, because a lot of people think they know what a lunar calendar is, but they don't. You have to understand what a solar calendar is. A lot of people that when you hear them say solar calendar, they just think, oh, that's worship. They did first thing they think of is worshiping the devil. But if you're a true person of a nation of Israel and you read those scriptures, you'll understand we want these great mighty warriors first. We were farmers first. First and foremost, we're always going to be farmers. So we had to understand both the sun, the solar calendar, and the lunar calendar. So, you know, that's how it is. But I want to read this.
If I could just say something real quick, that's why so many parables, especially in the New Testament, is always referring to crops. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
When you speak Romans 11, Christ speak about sowing the seed. Yeah, because we were the word for it, the technical or collegiate word for it is agrarian. We were an agrarian society.
Exactly. You know, everybody wants to be a warrior, but guess what? But guess what? How many warriors know how to plant crops?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? How you gonna feed your men if you don't know how to farm? You understand? And what the reason why the Most High has given me this spirit, because I know how to farm. You understand what I'm saying? I have gardens in my backyard. I've always had gardens in my backyard for years. So I understand why you got to plant certain seeds on a new moon. It's a reason for that. I understand why you got to plant certain seeds during a certain time of year. It's a reason for that. You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's why I said this is not a debate here, because I've been doing this for so long, and it's like most people, when it comes to the 13th, when it comes to understanding the feast days, they're getting it from me in the spirit. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna let some person who's like 5 or 10 years in, like, what could you really say? Like, just get the knowledge and see it for yourself. You understand? But I'm gonna just read this thing from an agricultural perspective. All right, so I'm gonna just read an excerpt from this book, right? This is one of my gems, the Holman Bible Atlas. This is a good book that everybody should have, because it goes into really what I'm talking about. It says the cycle of plowing, sowing, and harvesting involved the entire population in ancient times. Then there's a graphic below it. If I'd had my other computer, I could have put the graphic up on board. It says the graphic below correlates various aspects of the agricultural year, giving the impression of seasonal demands, pastoral activities, and tasks associated with the cultivation of vineyards and orchards are also included. So when it's talking about the pastoral activities, it's talking about the feast days that come around the certain crops that are grown. It says the ancient Israelite calendar was based on phases of the moon, which is a lunar calendar. It says, but the solar year determined the agricultural cycle. So like that's why I said you have to understand a lunar calendar, but you also have to understand a solar calendar, because the solar calendar is what's going to determine your agriculture and your crops. It says this required adding an additional short month periodically to the lunar calendar, and explains why Hebrew months do not correlate exactly with our modern calendars based on the solar year. So this is the reason why every 2 to 3 years, every 3 to 4 years, we had to make sure we added an extra calendar. We had an extra month in our calendar, so that our solar crops and our lunar calendar, they went side by side with each other. That's the reason why we did it. So we always had to have it that way, because you can't have, like I said, you can't have your first fruits during the time of the Feast of Ingathering, because the Feast of Ingathering is the tabernacles. That's when you're gathering everything at year's end. Both of them don't, but you can't separate that. That has to stay the same always. Your Passover's always got to be around the month of Abib, which is around the beginning of spring. Your first fruits always has to be at the end of the barley harvest and at the end of the wheat harvest. And as a person that farms, you have to understand that. If you don't farm, you wouldn't understand. But you need to know it anyway, because this is how you set your feast days up. The reason why I understand it, because I grew barley, I grew wheat, I did all this stuff already. So just to see how it goes inside with it. So you can't separate the lunar calendar from the solar calendar. They're always going to be intertwined as long as you're an Israelite. And this is a chart that they have showing you. I can email it to you, Dan, so you can put it up. But this is a chart that they have. It shows you all the feast days on this chart, and it shows you also what harvest season begins and ends in these feast days. I don't know how good you can see it, but I had a chart. I had the chart lined, like I said, I had everything lined up, but my laptop went out on me. So
if you tell me the name of the chart, maybe I could Google it and I could share my screen with
it's the Home and Bible Atlas on page 28, if you can share it.
Interesting. I'll you can go ahead and talk. I'll see if I can find it. Go ahead.
It's the Home and Bible Atlas on page 28. So the key is, you understand, you have, as far as adding that 13th new moon, it always has to be, it always has to correlate, and you always have to make sure that you're adding it in the right year, but also you have to make sure that your feast days are lining up the right way. That's how I knew when to do it. You understand? So hold on one second. Let me
yeah, just keep talking. I'm trying to find it online. Give me a minute.
Absolutely, Hey, pass me my thing, so I don't want my plug to go dead. So basically, does anybody have any questions on what I'm saying, or my mother plug? Does anybody have any questions on what I'm saying?
If y'all have questions, I saw some questions in the comments, but they were unrelated questions, so I was going to deal with those later. But if y'all have any questions concerning what he said so far, just throw it in the chat, and we'll go ahead.
Give me one. Talk for a minute. I got to get my plug out here.
Yeah. So I got the brother Garfield from the Dagger Squad in the chat. So peace to him. Yeah, the brother actually lives in New Jersey. So he's right here. In the New York area, New Jersey area. Let's see here. I'm seeing different charts, which probably correlate with the one that you have, but I'm not seeing that exact chart that you have. Let me try something else. Hold on one second. Feast days. Give me 1 second. Let's see if it makes it better. Yeah, I'm seeing some stuff here. I don't know if any of these will help you. Let me open up one of these and see if this will if this is any good. All right. So, Matthias, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. Right. I'm not sure that this is as good as what you have.
Let me see what you have.
But I'm gonna share my screen. I want you to tell me if you can see it, right? And if it's something that you could use, if then you could use this one right here. Give me a second. Can you see that, Matthias? Can you see that? So you see how they have, like, on the left hand, it has the spring feast, and it has it circled, and it tells you what months it's supposed to fall in. I know you've never seen it, so you probably have to decipher it a little bit before you could even speak on it. That's one of the better ones. Since you can see my screen, I'm gonna show you what else was on here. Not really.
That one you had. See if you can blow that one up a little bit more.
The one that I had.
Yeah. See if you can blow that one up a little bit more.
Let me go back into it. Hold on. Blow it up a little more. 1 second right here. Okay, let's make that a little bigger. How's that?
That's Tawab. That's Tawab. That's Tawab. That's Tawab right there. It's a little small.
Let me do something. Hold up. I can still make it bigger. Hold on.
Con.
That's as big as I can get it right there without which y'all being able to see everything. Matter of fact, there you go. I might be able to do one more. Hold up. There you go. Yeah, so that's pretty much yeah. Can you see that now?
Con, it's Tawab. It's Tawab.
Is it something you can use to bring out your point or not?
Like, you know, I can use it to a degree. But I could just tell you, like, based off what comes during that time of year. Like, for example, right, when you have, like it says Nisan, which those are all Babylonian names, because we took on because when you look in the scriptures, when you're reading the scriptures, the only month that we had a name for was the first month, which was called Abib, which means an ear of corn or to spring forth. All the other names, like when you see Nisan, that's Babylonian. That's the names we took on. That's why you'll see in the scriptures, it say the first month, the month of Nisan, because the captivity they were in was Nisan, or you'll see Sivan or Tammuz. You should know Tammuz is a Babylonian name. That was Nimrod's son's name. So, you know, but those are Babylonian names on it. But I could work with it to a degree. But like when you like it says, when you go into the spring feast are what? The first fruits, the unleavened bread, the Passover. That's the first week of the first fruits. When you go into your summer part up top, the Pentecost is like around the beginning of summer. Okay, the beginning of summer, which is like late. The last day of Pentecost, your last day of Pentecost is actually supposed to end like late June, early July. That's why it has it like up there, up top like that, because that's when the summer is. Then when you have Rosh Hashanah, which is Rosh Hashanah, which is the seventh month in the blowing of the trumpets, Yom Kippur or Yom Kippurium, which is the Day of Atonement, or Sakath, which we call Sakawath, which is the Feast of Booths. That's the ingathering when you read the Feast of Booths down in the seventh month. But you know, like that. And that's why I'm gonna email you this also, Dan, because when you check it out, you know, the barley harvest begins. You know, when the barley harvest begins, that's around your first when the barley harvest begins. You know, that's around your unleavened bread period. Then it ends during the first fruits. The first fruits is the beginning of your barley harvest. To show you what I'm talking about, go to we're gonna read Exodus quick fast. So I'm gonna start bringing some scriptures also, just to give understanding on what we're going over.
Somebody just sent me something, King. Hold on a second. So you can go ahead and read your scripture.
Okay,
shout out to you, Lawya Khan. Good business. The brother, he probably has the book because he took a snapshot.
Oh, he's got the book. That's perfect.
So let me see if you can go ahead and do what you're doing. I want to see if I can download it, and then I'll bring it up. So go ahead.
Go to Exodus, the 34th chapter, and the 21st verse.
34 and 21st verse.
Yeah, 34 and 21.
Exodus 34 and 21. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest.
Right. So it says 6 days thou shalt what? Thou shalt work, but on the seventh day thou shalt rest. You know that rest in the Hebrew means Shabbat, right? So read on.
In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest.
So the question is, what is earing time? Earing time is the end of the barley harvest. All right. Then it says, and in harvest thou shalt rest. The harvest time is the harvesting of your wheat harvest. So it says in earing time and in harvest time thou shalt rest. This scripture links up when you read Leviticus. Go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, because it's talking about the earing time, which is the first day of the first fruits, and then the harvest time, which is the last day of the first fruits. In earing time and in harvest time thou shalt rest, meaning those days were also a day of rest. Because you have to understand, when you did the first fruits, before you did anything else and you bought your wheat, that was a ceremony. When you waved that sheaf, when you gave that sheaf offering and waved it and gave it to the priest, that was a ceremony. Every man had to do that in order for their crops to get blessed. If they didn't do this, then their crops wouldn't be blessed at all. So go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And you know what I want, right? Beginning of the first fruits. Start at verse 9.
Leviticus 23:9. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I've given unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits.
Right. So this was commanded once we came into the land, and then we started to sow our crops and everything. The first thing we were supposed to do, once them crops came about, was we were supposed to give an offering unto the Most High. All right. So we gave an offering unto the Most High. Read on.
Then ye shall bring the sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Right.
And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you.
Right.
On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it.
So this was the first day when you waved the sheaf. Okay, you gave the sheaf, which was a basket actually. You gave this basket to the priest, and the priest presented it before the Most High. But that's not the only thing that happened. To understand what happened and understand that this is a ceremony, you have to go to Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter. You got to go to Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter, and the first verse.
26:1.
Yep, read 26:1.
Deuteronomy 26 chapter and the first verse. And it shall be, when thou art come in unto the land which Yahweh thy power giveth thee for an inheritance, and possess it, and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all thy fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of the land that Yahweh the power giveth thee, and shall put it in a basket.
So now we know that this is the same thing that is saying in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. When you go into the land, you start reaping the first fruits of the land, you got to bring it to the Most High. But this is going to go into intricate detail on what exactly happened that day and why that day was a day of rest, which is a Sabbath, because this is a ceremony that every man had to do. Read on.
3. And thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto Yahweh the power, that I am come unto the country which Yahweh sware unto our fathers for to give us.
So this is what you said before you gave him the basket. Read on.
And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand.
So what basket is that? It's the basket of the first fruits that you're giving to the priest. Because this links right up with what? Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, which links up with what? Exodus, what we just read in 34, verse 21. Read on.
And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahweh the power. And thou shalt speak and say before Yahweh the power, a Syrian ready to perish was my father.
Right.
And he went down to Egypt and sojourned there with a few.
Right.
And became there a nation, a great, mighty, and populous.
So that Syrian is talking about is not talking about an actual Syrian. It's talking about our forefather Jacob. Jacob, that's who he's talking about. Read on.
And Egyptians evil entreated us.
Right.
And afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage.
Right.
And when we cry unto Yahweh our power of our fathers, the Lord heard our voice and looked on our affliction and our labor and our oppression.
Right.
And the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders.
Right.
And he had brought us unto this place, and have given us this land, even a land floweth with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of thy land, which thou, Yahweh, has given me.
So what's this the first fruits of? It's the first fruits of your barley harvest. So now the thing is, if you don't add a 13th new moon every so often, how is it that you're going to give this first fruits of your barley harvest to the priest? And how you going to give your first fruit offerings to the Most High if you don't add a 13th new moon? See, what brothers got to understand is everything is not going to be cut and dry in the scriptures. The basic foundation of life is in the scriptures. But then you got to research these things on your own. You see what I'm saying? Like brothers that tell you, I could tell you about the how the sun rotates in the circus and things like that because I study the heavens. Not to worship them, but I study them to get an understanding of the solar cycle and to get an understanding of the lunar cycle. You know, this is the reason why a lot of people think that the earth may be flat. You understand what I'm saying? This is why a lot of people have confusion on that. You understand? And it's a lot of confusion on that. You see what I'm saying? It's, you know, because everything is not going to be, when you deal with the science of the Most High, it's not going to be cut and dry in the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? So now, finish reading that, King.
11. And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing.
Read 10 again.
26:10. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of thy land, which thou, O Yahweh, hast given me, and thou shalt set it before Yahweh the power, and worship before Yahweh thy power.
Right.
And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which Yahweh the power hath given unto thee,
right,
and unto thine house, thou and thy Levite, and the stranger that is among you.
Right.
When thou hast made an end of tithing, all the tithes of thine increase, the third year, which is the year of tithing, and has given it unto Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow.
So that's the end of that, right? So when we gave our first fruits, this passage right here that you're reading in Deuteronomy, now go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, because now you see actually that he just didn't give it to the priest, and the priest just waved it like that. He gave it to the priest, and he started reciting what he had to recite based off how the Feast of First Fruits went.
Hey, Matthias, do you still need that image? Because I have it. If you want,
you have it, I need that image. Con.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen right now, Lord. All right, 1 second. Give me a second. Wow, give me a second. You know, you have so many goodness gracious windows up, and you
exactly, King, exactly.
Yeah, okay, I got it now. You got it now.
Come.
Yeah, I'm working on some new software, man. So I ain't gotta do all this crap.
Exactly,
I'm trying to use that software that Starnetta uses. I got it. I haven't had time to really. Here we go.
I got a million one windows up.
Yeah, you see that, right? You see that, right? All right, so hold up. Now what the hell am I doing? Here we go. Do you see you see it?
Yeah, can I see it? See, I can look at
right,
mine, but you might want to make it bigger for everybody else. But like I said, just in general, that Holman Bible Atlas in itself, it's a good book. See, if you want to know about the lunar, the solar calendar, stuff like that, if you want to know about land, agriculture, and certain things dealing with this earth, get an atlas, get a Bible atlas. Get a Bible atlas. It helps. So now, if you go to like where the barley harvest is at, right?
Which family, just so y'all know, the barley harvest, if you're looking at it on your screen, it's on the right-hand side of the screen. It's like the little green shading. Y'all see that?
Right,
it says barley harvest. Go ahead, King.
It'll say Passover and unleavened bread, but then under it, it'll say like Adar Nisan. Okay?
Right.
But which Adar being the 12th month, Nisan would be the first month according to our calendar. But then when you deal with the solar calendar, it's going to be around March, April. So if you notice where the March, April is at, that's where the Passover is, and the unleavened bread begins at, right? Then when you go to the part where it says the wheat harvest, where it says the early figs, that would be like going towards your left, like go rotating like clockwise. It would say the wheat harvest, the early figs. You see though, it says Pentecost or Feast of Weeks. That'd be from like May. It'd be from like early June going into July, or going into mid June going into July rather. That's where your Pentecost, your Feast of Weeks would be. Then when you go on the all the way on the other end, when you go towards September, October, which is the 7th month and the 8th month on a lunar calendar, all right, you'll see the tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. It'll say the early harvest and processing late figs, field preparation and sowing. These are the things that went on during the Feast of Booths. You get late figs, you get like apples, pears, pumpkins, things like that. That's why when you read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter and the 33rd verse, that was referred to as the Feast of Ingathering.
Con.
So now all of our main feast days were always around a harvest season. So in order for you to understand that, and if you're a true Israelite, because eventually we're all going to be farming. Nobody's going to be going to Pathmark. You know, nobody's going to be going to Pathmark. Nobody's going to be going to Stop and Shop or ShopRite or all that. Everybody's going to be farmers. Everybody's going to go back to that main source. You understand? Right. Everybody's going, and you're going to have your servants doing these things. So this is a part of Israel that you have to understand and know. You know, and the best eating that you can do is eat the stuff that you know you grow that don't have any chemicals in it, because you understand how the land is. You'll put the right minerals in the land to make your stuff grow and everything.
Let me ask you a question, right? Okay. Looking at this, let me ask you a question. You and I had this conversation before, so I'm doing this for the purpose of the audience, for them, right? Okay. Now, let's just throw a random date out there. Usually spring comes in around March the 20th, 21st, 22nd, somewhere around there. That's when
it's
usually
March 20th. It's March
right.
20th.
Now, I had asked you before when we did this on the Maccabeestv call, I had asked you, could Passover fall April 1st, right?
Right.
And you said no. Explain to the people why. I mean, I remember, if you want me to jog your memory about what you said, but
yeah, jog my memory.
Even though it was spring, it still couldn't fall April 1st. Explain to the audience why. So let me frame that a little better, right? Some years we're gonna, based on the calendar that we have, the Passover, if we do it without adding the 13th month, the Passover might organically land April 1st. And you said to us that's still wrong.
No, that it wasn't April 1st. It was another date that that I got. It was another date that I got.
Right. Okay. But go ahead.
It was another date that I got. It was 2 days before us. It was 2 days before. It was March 18th that it was supposed to.
No, not that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'll jog your memory a little bit more.
Yeah, you jog my memory. Jog my memory, King.
And the Passover will fall, like, let's say April 1st. And you were explaining to me that if the spring comes in like March the 22nd or whatever it is, or March the 21st, Passover can't fall April 1st because you just got into the spring season.
No, what I said this is what I said. This is what I said.
Go ahead.
I was talking about the first fruits. I remember now. The conversation was this, because you know how brothers start their first fruits right after the week after the closing services of brothers start their first fruits the Saturday sundown after the closing services of the unleavened bread. And the reason why I said that you can't do that is because you're just getting in the spring. Nothing's grown yet. You understand what I'm saying? Like everything is just in ear. It's not in earring. See, you have a term called in the ear. That's what a bib means. A bib means in the ear, right? So it's like this. For example, you have a term called in the ear, then you have a term called earring. In the ear, or a bib, means to just spring forth. So when things just spring forth, that doesn't mean it's fully grown. It's not fully grown until earring time. That's why when we go back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Exodus, the 34th chapter. That's what I remember we was talking about now. We was talking about the first fruits. It wasn't a Passover. because brother said they had this date for the first fruits. And I said, it couldn't, I said, that still couldn't be because no barley is going to be grown. If spring just comes March 20th, 11 days later, you're not going to have barley crops. Because remember, when you read according to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, you have to present what? You have to present crops. So you can't go before the Most High and say, well, you know what? It's April 1st. There's no crops ready yet. You know, the Most High is not a liar. That's why I said you have to understand what a solar calendar is about to deal with your farming. Once you understand that, you'll understand how to deal with a lunar calendar, because you separate them, but then you keep them together. They're separate as far as we deal with it during dealing with days and times, but you have to keep them together when you're dealing with keeping your feast days in line with your crops, because all of our feast days go in line with our crops. You see what I'm saying? Like, read that in Exodus. You got that again in Exodus 34? Read that again.
21?
Yeah.
Exodus 34 and 21. 6 days thou shalt work, but in the 7th day thou shalt rest.
Right.
In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest.
So it says in earing and in harvest thou shalt rest, right? So now hold that. To show you what I'm saying, go to Exodus, the 9th chapter in the 31st verse. Because this is going to give a perfect example that if you was to hold your Passover right after, you hold your first fruits after the closing services, that your crops wouldn't be ready yet. You understand what I'm saying? So read 9:31.
Exodus 9:31. And the flax and the barley was smitten.
So the flax and the barley was smitten. The reason why I went to this thing is because we're dealing with the barley harvest. So why was it smitten? Read it.
Well, the barley was in the ear.
The barley was only in the ear, meaning the flax and the barley was smitten because it just started to grow. It wasn't in earing time yet. It just was only in the ear. Because in earing time, that's when it's fully grown. When something's only in the ear, it's just starting to grow. You understand? So that's why I said we couldn't have our first fruits like right after 11 days after the Passover or the unleavened bread closing, because the barley will only be in the ear. It's not in earing time yet.
Wow. See, I'm sitting there, and as we talking, I know we talked about this. Every time I talk to you about this, I learn something new. Okay. You know, so all praise to the Most High for that. All right, families, were you done with what you were saying?
Come.
All right, family, listen, if y'all have any questions, I saw some questions earlier. I'm going to ask the elder about those. I saw some questions earlier, so I'm going to ask him the ones that I was able to write down, but I was doing other stuff. If y'all have any questions, post them in the chat, and I definitely will present them to him momentarily.
And if anybody's got more questions too, like I said, my Facebook is Mathathyahwah Lawya. My Gmail address is mathath7@gmail.com.
I'll put that in the chat so they can reach out to you, definitely. Zahab, you there?
Yeah, Shalom. You can hear me?
Shalom, family. That's the Elder Zahab from Lions of Israel.
Zahab, Shalom, King.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom. Yeah, I'm listening, man. You had presented this to a few brothers from Lions of Israel and different camps. So I'm already privy to most of the information. So I'm just listening. I'm back. I do have 2 quick questions though, Elder. The first one is this: right? Seeing as though we cannot count after the Sabbath after unleavened bread, correct? That's not how we're gonna get food. When is the correct time for us to start counting?
It's like if you know about farming, you start counting from like the second week. The second week of, I always start counting from like the second week of May. The first of the second week of May. I like the second week of May based off me growing wheat before. You understand what I'm saying? Based off me doing it before, it's like it's like the second week of May, and it's funny because all of our main feast days, right? All of our main feast days collide with all of Esau's main feast days. Like literally all of our main feast days collide with all Esau's main feast days. And this is why I say this, right? Because the Passover is always around that pagan Easter, right?
God.
Then you have the first fruits. The first day of the first fruits is always around Memorial Day weekend. The second day of first fruits, the 50th day, is always around the 4th of July time. Then you got the 7th month. They celebrate Labor Day. We celebrate Memorial blowing the trumpets, Memorial blowing the trumpets, the tabernacles, and the Day of Atonement. So that kind of covers their Labor Day and their pagan Halloween also. Then you always have a new moon around the time of Thanksgiving. And of course, the dedication is like days or sometimes a week apart from that pagan Christmas and New Year. So you always start around the second week of May.
Okay, God.
I like I said, what I want to do, especially with brothers in the Mac, if we can just sit down and go over and have like one unified calendar for the year. You understand? So that all our days be on point and together before the new year. Because I just started going into the calendar right now to start for the next year. And the reason why I do that is because, sometimes the days change, like the lunar moon shift. You understand what I'm saying? So I never try to start it too early. The reason why I like to start it as close as possible to the new year, because a lunar, you can go to a website and they'll tell you the lunar calendar is up until 2030, but they're not going to be accurate all the time. So that's why you want to make it as close as possible, because they change. You see what I'm saying? So that's how it is.
Right. And I support you 1,000%. I think the Mac is a body, not even the Mac or Israel. We do need to come together and get some type of consensus. Hold on 1 second, Israel.
Good.
Yeah, I hear that in the background. Yeah, we do need to come together and have, some basic understanding of how we're going to get these dates. Now, that's going to lead me to the second thing. What do you say to brothers in other congregations? They don't have the same days as us. And that could be a small sticking point. Me personally, not so much, because it's all about the spirit. But, you got some brothers, their dates is off. And, brothers are strong-willed. They're not trying to hear nothing. They stuck in their own way of seeing it. So what do you say to brothers?
You know what it is? You pray for brothers, but as long as they do it, it's rehearsal. See, sometimes what it is, King, men get stuck in their ways because they're stuck in the way that their thought process of knowledge. There's nothing you can really do about that. You know what I'm saying? As long as they do it, that's tawab. And as long as they're sincere in doing it, that's tawab. You understand what I'm saying? But if they feel that they're correct, I'm fine with that. That's them. If they feel that, that's what they want to do, as long as they do it. I'm not big on, like, I had a conversation with another elder, and his day was 1 day off from ours, but he always comes to me anyway. I don't want to say his name because it doesn't make a difference, because it's my brother, I love him to death. But what happened was, and I told him, I said, listen, you on the West Coast. That's the reason why your calendar's a day ahead of ours, because you over there. And I was like, I said, listen, people don't understand the moon. The moon, like, see, the reason why I understand the moon, because I'm about that life. Like, that's why I said, don't come talking to new moon if you don't got one of these. You know what I'm saying? If you don't got one of these, don't come talking that new moon stuff. If you don't
that's
got
a
one
pretty
of these.
penny right there. I know that's
don't
a
come talking
penny.
about the sun. Don't come talking about the planets.
Ooh.
Right.
Don't come talking that talk. Dude, I don't care. If you don't got one of these, and you know how to work one of these, don't even bother with me, because I'm about that life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you got a telescope like that, you about that life for real.
I'm about that life. You know what I'm saying? I hang out in the planetarium, King. I'm on something different. You know what I'm saying? That's just me.
Hey, Elder, real quick. Also, when a lot of people go to dateandtime.com and certain websites.
You're breaking up, Buck. I can't hear you. You're still breaking up, King.
Hey, Zaab, you sound like a robot.
Con.
Zaab. I went ahead and I I muted him because he sounds like a robot. So,
Come.
hey Zab, when you I don't know, you sound like a robot. You can always unmute yourself, but you sound like a robot. So we can't hear you. So I muted you until you get your audio correct. You can come back in. All right. So let me see here. I want to ask you.
Hey, Shalom.
Yes. Go ahead, Zab. Let me hear you. Go ahead.
You can hear me now.
Come.
All right. Salaki about that. Damn, lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. Okay. Dealing with like the new moon, the calendar, and so on and so forth. Do you use the rising and the sunrise, sunset, and the moon also? Do you use that over Israel, or do you use it on the East Coast or West Coast, or relative to where you at?
I'm not in captivity in Israel. What am I using it over Israel for?
Okay, good point.
Understand something? It tells you.
Brothers do that. That's why it's always good to bring out, because some brothers say, all right, Jerusalem is where we're supposed to be. So some brothers use the calendar over there, and you do have Israel in Jerusalem.
Well,
So
let me explain something to you. Let me say this right about that. And I don't knock brothers over in the homeland and all that stuff. I'm not in Israel. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, right? I live in Newark, New Jersey right now. So the thing is this. You're dealing with time zones and all that, which a lot of people don't understand time zones. That's something else that people don't understand. Time zones. Jerusalem is 7 hours ahead of us. What time is it now? Jerusalem's in the next day. They're in the next day. It's right now, it's 12:34 a.m. Monday morning in Jerusalem. Where most of us at on the East Coast, it's 5:35 p.m. So why am I following the moon? That's the reason. The reason why when you look on a calendar over here, and you'll see like Amalek, their days are like 1 or 2 days different from us. The reason why that is because they're doing it from Jerusalem's time zone. But I don't live in Jerusalem. The Most High said, throughout all your dwellings, you're supposed to celebrate these feast days. So I'm going to deal with the new moon according to the dwelling that I'm in. I'm over here in Babylon on the East Coast. And the reason why I specify the East Coast, because like I explained to brothers, if you're on the East Coast, your new moons may be different from brothers on the West Coast.
Right.
Based off the way their sun rises and their sun sets, and a whole 9 yards. Not only that, though, sometimes the new moon could come in differently in the southeast than in the northeast, based off what? The sunrise, the sunset, the moonrise, the moonset. That's a whole different lesson in itself. So
right.
brothers, they really don't know. Like I said, when brothers want to start talking about time, space, latitude, longitude, altitude, and all that stuff, you come to the right person, but make sure don't come with no Google stuff.
So, Elder,
don't come with no Google. Hold on for a minute. Don't come with no Google stuff. Because first I deal with Google Scholar. You deal with Google, I deal with Google Scholar. That's something totally different. I only deal with scholarly stuff. Don't come with no Google stuff. Don't come with no, and have a Hebrew name too.
Right. God. All right. Well, that's the reason why I'm asking, King, because
out there, you got Israel out there that just kind of like, they want to know about the sun, moon, and stars and all that, but they don't have a basic foundation. But the thing is, like, if you're in a congregation and say your head congregation is one place, then do the feast days after that one place and let it trickle down from there. And if a brother in another congregation feels that he doesn't, their congregation wants to do it different, look, as long as they're doing the feast days, I'm great with that, because at the end of the day, none of us are doing the feast days right. You know why I say that? Because none of us know who the sons of Aaron are. Not even Levi. None of us know who the sons of Aaron are. So because we don't know who the sons of Aaron are, we all doing the feast days wrong. So it don't make a difference. That's why we're in rehearsal.
Damn, I thought you was one of the sons of Aaron. Okay.
Everybody says that. Because my name is Mathathyahwah, Lawya, but that's my born name. You know what I'm saying?
Because you're Judah.
I'm Judah. That's the thing. I'm Judah, but my name is Mathathyahwah, Lawya. So people a lot of people think I'm a Levite. But I tell now my name, I'm a Judite.
Right.
So it's the one.
So Elder, can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, King.
All right. So it's expected that the days and times are going to vary from congregation.
Yeah, it's expected.
Right.
It's expected.
Not
And that's not nothing. My thing is
Right.
this. If brothers want to learn why I do the days the way I do it, because a lot of brothers have come to me over the years, like Hashar back in the days, Zabak, Lawya brothers, they will always come to me because that was just the gift the Most High gave me. So, you know, I just work with it. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, I'll inform brothers. If brothers want to still continue to do what they do, I'm fine with that too. I'm not trying to lay no, because as long as you're doing it, your salvation isn't condemned. It's when you're pushing that, you're not supposed to do the feast days. That's
Right.
when I have a problem. I don't care if you do it, you know, in that circle, like it tells you in Colossians, let no man judge you in meat or drink or a feast day. That's what it's talking about. Because we're not, you know, some brothers drink the wine, other brothers pour the wine out. You know what I'm saying? So the key is that brothers are doing it. As long as brothers are doing it and rehearsing the righteous acts and giving out the understanding on the feast days, I'm cool with that. It may not be on a high level like how we do it, but that's because the Most High put the Spirit on us to really go into it. You know what I'm saying?
God. Now, Matthias, I kind of want to deviate slightly, right? Just slightly. Maybe I'm not deviating. You tell me. You know, Israel is all over the place when it, right?
Sure.
You got congregations in Israel, and I don't want to confuse the audience that's listening, but you got congregations in Israel that operate off the Enoch calendar, which is a whole nother thing.
Right.
Somebody asked me what about the Enoch calendar? So do you know anything about that, what that is, and do you use it? And if not, why not?
I don't use it because it's not in the scriptures. That's it. I don't need a third-party book to validate what I already know in the scriptures. That's why. You understand? And I've heard about the Book of Enoch. I've never read it before. I've had no interest in reading it. You understand? Because anything that's not pure to me, fully pure 100%, is invalid. That's why I tend to, everything that I look for in the scriptures because I know it's in there. And then whatever else I can't find, I just find it through here. You know what I'm saying? Find it with this. Because it tells you about the sun, moon, and the stars and how we dealt with them. So I find it with this. How I know to add a 13th new moon, because when I look in the heavens and I see lunar eclipses in a 3-year span, you have a certain amount of lunar eclipses in a 2 to 3 year span. How do I know that? Not from a book. I just check this. I just use this. You see what I'm saying? That's why I said
You're just gonna keep showing that off, right?
yeah, exactly.
You're just gonna keep showing that.
I'm not debating. Like I said, I don't debate with brothers on what I know. Like I said, don't tell me what you just read in books because all these books aren't on point. I'm checking things out for myself and by understanding how to read, you know what I'm saying? Because Israel had an understanding. We didn't call it the zodiac. That was Babylonian right there. That was Cush's whole thing. Cush set up the zodiac. We didn't call it the zodiac. Issachar had that understanding. That's why Yeshayala from Jersey, that's why he called me Issachar.
No, yo, you know what's funny? Somebody in the comment boards just said that about you. They're like, yo, you might be Issachar.
That's why Shayala always called me Issachar.
Because
he
Issachar
always calls me Issachar. He's like, yo, what's up, Issachar? And I laugh at it, but I understand why he says it based off the scripture says in Chronicles. You see what I'm saying? So it's all good. Issachar, Levi, whatever they say, as long as I'm Israel, I'm Tawab. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, it's all about like understanding how to investigate these things by reading the heavens. You understand what I'm saying? Not observing them or worshiping them. There's understanding in that. Like, and that's how I know when to add a 12th or 13th new moon, because I'm always checking out the partial lunar eclipses, the total lunar eclipses, the solar eclipses, all that stuff. That's just what I like to do. You understand what I'm saying? The Most High put that spirit in me. So I understand those things.
Hey,
somebody go ahead, Zab.
Dealing with that 13th new moon, right? Can we point to anywhere in scriptures to show that, in case somebody, you know what I mean, a gainsayer or whatnot, try to ask us to show us that?
All you have to do is you have to see again. Everything dealing with science is not going to be pinpoint in the scriptures, and the reason why it's not going to be pinpoint in the scriptures because salvation is more important. So when you're studying the science of the Most High, anybody can study it, because why? When you walk outside at night, when you look up, what do you see? The stars. You see the constellations. You can see, people don't realize, you can see Venus every night. 3:30 in the morning, you don't even realize that's Venus, because Venus is not a planet. Venus is a star. The planets are just moving stars. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going to be concrete in the scriptures, a 13th new moon. Say add a 13th new moon. When you deal with the science and agriculture of the Most High, you understand why you need a solar calendar for farming, and you understand why you need a lunar calendar to deal with your times, your days, and your months of the year. Once you understand both of those things, then you'll understand why you have to add a 13th new moon. When do you add it? That's when you got to keep looking at observing the moon, seeing how the moon operates. Like a brother that rolls with me, a brother Yahweh in the One Nation camp, he told me last night it was the 15th day, right? So I looked up, I said, oh, good. It's the full moon based off. It's the 15th day based off it being a full moon. You see what I'm saying? And the full moon isn't the new moon, because when you go into the Hebrew, when it talks about blow the trumpet in the moon, it says in the Hebrew, the dark moon. It says nothing about a full moon. You understand? So anybody that's an English Israelite, you need to get into that Hebrew. Because when it's talking about blowing the trumpet in the appointed time of the new moon, in the Hebrew, it says dark moon. It doesn't say full moon. But that's how you know the new moon is what? The dark moon. So, it's what it is. But again, like I've been doing this based off years of doing it. Any brother wants to get into it, I can guide them that right way. Or sister even that wants to go into it, I can guide them that right way. But it's never going to be something concrete that just says add a 13th new moon. You're going to know, because once you understand the solar calendar is 365 days and a lunar calendar is 354 days, and how if something's more, you're always going to lose less days. And you always have to remember your Passover has to be in the beginning of the barley harvest. Your first fruits, the first day, has to be at the end of the barley harvest. Then you're going to say, oh, my 50th day has to be the end of the first fruits harvest. So you're going to know these things. So it's going to fall out of season from time to time.
What? Can I say something, Matthias? That's the scripture right there. That's it. That's it. Once you start bringing it out, once you start bringing those things out, it's not going to say add a 13th moon. Right. Once you know, that's why the title of the show is what it is. Once you know what season is supposed to fall into, then that's telling you that if you're just using a regular 12-month cycle and you're not falling into the proper season, your Passover's falling March 18th or March 15th or whatever it is, based on scripture that you're wrong, so you got to add a 13th moon. You have to.
Absolutely. So that's it right there. So like I said, you know how Israel can be, but like I said, any Israelite that's like, first of all, everything wasn't given to us straightforward, because it wasn't meant for everybody. So anybody that understands what the Spirit's bringing out, you understand why you're gonna add a 13th moon every so couple of years. The ones that they want everything to just say as it is, those are the ones that stumble with the law anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
Yo, shout out to my brother Dwayne Yosef. My brother Dwayne Yosef said, now he knows why you got the Hebrew Scholar Award at the concert that we had, the Hebrew concert we had. You got the Hebrew Scholar Award. He said now he knows why, brother. And hey man, I salute you. Listen, bro, there's a lot of what a lot of our brothers and sisters don't know. A lot of the greats ain't on social media.
Like shout out to Karada's Allah. Karada's Allah. Yeah. Because he's a that boy is bad. He came up with us. And I'm nothing to him, because I watch his classes and I've watched him through the years evolve. And even his son, I've never met his son before. I've met his son when he was a child, of course, but I mean, heard his son's even a beast. So Karada's Allah is bad in that Hebrew. Yeah. He's serious in that Hebrew. The brother from my camp, Itazaya Razamath.
Hell yeah.
I helped teach him. I go to him now because I'm that humble. I go to him for the Hebrew, because
that's what I was supposed to be as an elder. That's what people don't understand. People think that the elders want, just like we have children, right? You want your children to do better than you did, right? All my children do better than me. So likewise, you want the brothers that you teach them. I don't teach the brothers in my camp, but they need to be subordinate. No, you need to be better than me. embedded in you. So that's what it is. That's
and
what.
If anybody knows, if anybody's met I desired to pass up, like I told him, I said, yo, put him to the test. I put my money on that brother when it comes to the Hebrew, because I seen him confound Amalek, because he not only speaks ancient Hebrew like we speak, he speaks Ashkenazi Hebrew, he speaks Sephardic, and he speaks Yiddish. So what brothers got to understand, that Yiddish is not what Amalek speaks. Yiddish is a combination of Russian, German, and Hebrew. It's either Russian and Hebrew or German and Hebrew.
German.
Amalek, now it's either or. The reason why I say it's either or, because if you know about Stalin was persecuting the Catholics, and what did they convert to? Judaism. So that's why it's either German and Hebrew, or it's Hebrew and Russian. So it's either, but those constitute Yiddish. Like if you want to hear proper Yiddish, all you gotta do is go to Brighton Beach, Brooklyn.
Yep.
Because I went to school out in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn. Those Russian Jews, they speak Yiddish. The German Jews, they speak Yiddish. Amalek speaks Hebrew, but it's just a dialect with vowels. That's why you know, if you know the basics of Hebrew, you can understand some of the things they're saying, but they just added the vowels to it. You see what I'm saying? But brother Isaiah, like I said, he speaks all types of dialects of Hebrew, but he also speaks a little Russian. He taught himself Greek rather. So some men have that gift. So you know, that's why it's like, you know, I'm humble with it. You understand what I'm saying? Compared to brothers who, you know, and Isaiah came in the truth through Danyaahla. That's why he met Danyaahla at the HOI cookout for the first time, because that's how he came in the truth, through the Hebrew. You know, men come in different ways, King. It's no knock on brothers that don't speak the Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know, like, you know, IUIC and brothers, you know, but they want to learn about it. It's when you say it's not mandatory to know, because I'm gonna be honest with you, more than half that book is deeper than what you think it is when you read that Hebrew, and that's a fact.
That's a fact. Listen, I've never, you know, portrayed myself to be the Hebrew guy, but I know enough. As long as I've been around, I better know some.
Exactly.
I know enough to know that when you understand the scriptures in the Hebrew, there's a whole other layer. Not getting in English, you'll never get.
Exactly. It's a whole other layer. It goes in depth with something. You be like, yo, we was doing that. What?
Yeah.
There's certain things in Ezekiel, boy, when you read and you see it going on today, we was doing that wickedness back then. Like when you hear about all them download spots in Atlanta, Israel was doing that back then. When you read them scriptures in Ezekiel, in the Hebrew, Israel was wicked back then as well as now. So it's what it is, though. But again, you know, my thing is this, you know, not to digress, but to bring it back to the original topic. The key is just facilitating knowledge to the younger generation, like we spoke about, Dan. It's you know, from our generation to the generation behind us, they didn't learn in classrooms like how we learned. So they're, you know, and they've been spoiled by social media, and they've been spoiled by the internet. But the problem with that is a lot of information on the internet is dead wrong. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why you have so many Israelites out here with so many different doctrines, like Esau being the Arabs and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? Because they didn't come up in the class and get that class training. They weren't in bookstores, you know, searching for, you know, going to Strands in the city or them old hole-in-the-wall bookstores for hours looking for the jewels.
Can I say something about that? You said something about Strands. I got to talk about that, because
Strands is my spot.
People don't understand what was going on with this Israelite movement in the 90s. They don't understand. Your family, we used to go to the Strands bookstore, right? And because back in the 90s, we used to have the public access shows in Manhattan. So these so-called Strands is owned, run, and controlled by the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew. This is a fact. Okay, y'all gonna get some history right now of this Israelite thing. We used to go down to Strands. Me, Lawya, Mathathyahwah, you know what I'm saying, and a few other brothers. We was book hungry. That's why everybody books I have. We was book hungry, right? It was so bad that after a while, first of all, this is our mistake because we were young. First thing we do when we go into Strand's bookstore, what section we go to? Judaica section.
Judaic section, yeah.
So they knew these devils was watching our shows on public access. They knew who we were because they know niggas coming into Strands going into the Judaica section, but we was
young niggas at that, right?
So I remember I was there when these devils kicked us the fuck out the store, not because we did nothing. We walked into the store, we went to the Judaica section. The so-called Jews came over to the Judaica section and said, "Get out,
get the hell out,
hit out," just like that.
The hell out.
That's a fact. Because
Like
we was going, like
brothers,
brother said, man, brothers is not hungry for the information no more. Y'all internet studiers and stuff like that. I've never been to internet. I use shit off the internet now. If it's in books I already have.
And this is what I tell people.
I got over 500 books for a reason.
And this is what I tell people. Like, you know, like brothers know, like I got under my steps, I got the jewels of the Nile right under the steps, right? They don't get to see light. Like I got $300, $400 books, $1,000 books in my archives over here. But that's what we was hungry for. You know, and like I tell people all the time, you know, Google is not a proper source of information. And I'm gonna tell you why, because they'll give you Google, but then if you type in Google Scholar, that's a whole different web browser. Why is that? You understand what I'm saying? Anybody types in Google Scholar watching this right now, they'll realize that's what all of the elite men check out. All of the knowledgeable men, they deal with Google Scholar. Google is for entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Google Scholar is when you're looking for some type of scholarly article where you're trying to prove your points. You see what I'm saying? So they you know, this generation, to a degree, they've been shortchanged based off of the social network. And that's why, like I tell you, anybody can be a prophet, but who could be a true disciple of Yahushua, a true apostle of Yahushua? That's a totally different thing. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody could go out there and you watch camp tapes all day, speaking of camp, but who's going to come back and break down what we just broke down today? Not a lot of men could do that. You understand? That's why I tell brothers, like, listen, I don't do that debate stuff. That's for the younger generation. But I tell brothers one thing. If you haven't been in this truth for a long period of time, we have nothing to even talk about when you talk about I want to challenge you once. You don't want to challenge me. You understand what I'm saying? You just was born yesterday. How you challenging me? You understand? And it's not to be arrogant. It's just a fact. Like I could never challenge my elders, and I would never challenge my elders. You understand what I'm saying? But brothers know, get a couple of scriptures under their belt. Then they want to start challenging and disrespecting brothers and making videos on brothers. Like, if you just teach your truth, if you think that's true, teach your truth. If not, it's what it is, King. Like I tell you, you talking about the new moon with me, make sure you come with a telescope, because we got nothing to say.
Hey, bro, you know, we always keep it humble. You know how we do. We keep it humble and stuff like that. But you know, the disrespect, I just like, you know what I'm saying? I just dismiss brothers. Like, if you're not from my era and it's true, if you didn't go through what we went through, if you didn't go through the fire, I dismiss you. I dismiss people on social media, YouTube, that's coming to my comment boards talking about I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know the information I have. Like, you don't know. You know, sometimes I'll give a little bit of a preview into it, but I'm not, it doesn't make no sense, man. We got to teach our people.
I got books older than some of these guys, man.
Listen, man. Yeah, right.
I got books older than some of these guys, man, for real.
Yeah, man. I got shit in here that's older than my, you know what I'm saying? That's, you know, so we got stuff that's older than my children. And you like, all right, man. Hey, listen, let's get back to the subject just for a second. One of the brothers from AOC, brother Malaat, he asked the question. Yeah, definitely. He asked the question. So here's the question. He said, if according to the new moon, the first month is falling in March, and we were supposed to keep the Passover in March, would the crops have ripened 7 weeks after during the first fruits, or la'ah? So basically, I guess this question was texting me. So basically, if I'm correct, March 18th was when we were supposed to have it. We're having it April the 19th, right? Right. So I guess I don't want to misinterpret the brother's question. I guess he's asking, so that many weeks afterwards that we're having it, would it have ripened? If that's the question. If it's not the question, then
well, let me
try to hit me back.
Let me, if I'm understanding what he's saying, right? If we kept it that way last year, which would have been March 18th,
right?
And they waited the 7 weeks, would the crops have ripened? And the answer is no. And the reason why I said is because it's still wintertime in March. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
no, I think he's asking if we're doing it later, would they be ripened at the time we're doing it? I'm assuming because I'm not talking to him.
Yeah.
Somebody said he asked that question and texted to me, so it's like a third party.
I would have to, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Just tell Malak to reach out. Have Malak reach out because I'm
gonna call him. I'm gonna put myself on mute. I'm gonna call him and let him ask me the question directly. So go ahead. You talk in the meantime. Go ahead.
Definitely. I couldn't answer the question because I don't know what exactly he's saying. Especially if it's coming through another person, it could have changed. But I need to hear it from him. So, but it's Tawab. But like I said, if anybody got any questions, just hit my inbox up on Mathathyahwah Lawya on Facebook, Mathathyahwah Lawya. Or hit me up Mathathyahwah7@gmail.com. It's all
hey,
good.
I got him on the phone.
Good.
Malak, just say shalom so I can see if he can hear you.
Shalom, King. Shalom.
Hey, shalom, King. Shalom. What's good?
All praises, man.
Go ahead, Malak. Ask your question.
I just have a question. Okay, so let's say if we were to keep it in March, right? If we were to keep the Passover in March, and we know 7 weeks after we're supposed to keep the Feast of First Fruits, right? So let's say hypothetically we were to keep it in March, and we celebrate First Fruits 7 weeks after that, 7 Sabbaths after. With the crops, with the first fruits, would everything have ripened by that time, or it would still be too young?
Now it'll be too young. See, the thing is this, right? And I need you to go to Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter, to answer your question. We don't determine to start counting the 50 days based off after the Passover. We determine starting to count the 50 days based off when our barley harvest is in the ear. You understand? Like what some men do, some men say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. The unleavened bread comes and the unleavened bread goes, right? Then what men will do is that first Sabbath after the unleavened bread closes, right? They'll make that their starting point. You can't. What I'm saying is you can't do that because it doesn't necessarily mean, especially during the time of March, that your crops are going to be fully grown by then. Because in order to determine counting the 50 days for the first fruits, it says determined by when you put the sickle to the corn. That's the only way you can start counting. Your barley has to be ripe before you start counting. When you go to Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter, right? And we're going to start at the 9th verse. Start the 9th verse.
9.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 16:9. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
So it says, for 7 weeks thou shalt number unto thee. Because we know that this is referring to the Feast of First Fruits based off what we read in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, right? Read on.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
So it says, don't start numbering the 7 weeks. Not after the Passover. You have to wait until you begin to do it when you put the sickle to the corn. Now, when you go into the Hebrew and you read what that corn is talking about, it's not talking about corn on the cob. It's talking about katamal, which is barley. Because with barley, you make what? Beer. Barley hops, which is katamal. Okay, what I'm saying? So what you're supposed to do is number it when you put the sickle to the corn. That's why it says, I'm going to go back to Exodus, the 34th chapter and the 24th.
Salakia, Mathath. Zaab, could you mute yourself? Because every time you move or do something, it's like switching from his screen to yours. If you can mute yourself, Zaab, please. Go ahead, Mathath.
I'll repeat what I said again. Read read Deuteronomy 16th chapter and 8th verse again. 9th verse again, I'm sorry.
16:9. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee.
Right.
Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
So you start numbering the 7 weeks, not according to the unleavened bread. You start numbering the 7 weeks according to when you put the sickle to the corn. And when do you put the sickle to the corn? in the earing time. Like, I'm going to go back and read Exodus 34, verse 21 again. It says, 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest, which is a Sabbath, right? It says, in the earing time and the harvest time thou shalt rest. Now, the earing time is what? The beginning of the barley harvest. That's when you number, and that's when you put the sickle to the corn. And then you count them 7 weeks, and then you'll have your harvest time, which is what? The wheat harvest. How you prove that? All you got to do is read Ruth, the 2nd chapter. Ruth, the 2nd chapter goes into the whole thing about the wheat harvest and the barley harvest. I'm sorry, exactly, the barley harvest and the wheat harvest.
So Malak, did that answer your question, or you can continue if you have more questions, King? Go ahead.
Done. Because a lot of people tend to number.
I wanted to ask, did you touch back a little earlier? You mentioned, like, if we were to keep it in March, right? And then continue on to keep it next year and the year after that, you said in a few years we'll end up keeping the Passover in February.
Right, exactly.
So I guess he's asking you why, Matthias? You mentioned that every year you lose 11 days.
Okay, nah. I don't think he was there earlier. The reason why you would is because we farm based off of a solar calendar. So our barley harvest and our wheat harvest has to be in the spring and the summertime respectively, right? The lunar calendar is 354 days, which is what we go by when we observe our times in our years and our feast days. So now, when you subtract 354 from 365, 365 being the solar, 354 being the lunar, you'll have 11 days left over. So now, that's why I said, if you want to know your feast days for the next year, all you would have to really do is count 11 days backwards from every feast day, and that'll probably be around the same time every year. So if you're losing 11 days on your lunar calendar, which is how we set up our feast days, but our harvest days are still staying still, your feast days are going to be out of season by 11 days every year. So by the time the third year comes in, what happens is you're losing a whole month based off of what? The harvest seasons, but as well as the winter, spring, summer, fall season, the 4 seasons of the year. That's why I said, if you go 6 years, right? If you go 6 years without adding a moon, your Passover will be in February. Like how our Passover at 1 West, remember that back in the days, Zach? Was in the middle of February. Because we didn't have any understanding on the lunar calendar back then. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't add that extra added moon every 2 to 4 years, you're gonna have no choice. Which you're gonna have no choice to do that. What? Your harvest, your Passover won't be celebrated in around the barley season, the beginning of barley season. Your harvest seasons will be in the middle of the winter. The reason why we couldn't do it, and that's the main reason why we had to add that moon this year. It was 3 total lunar eclipses, so I already knew to add it. But the thing was, the reason why it's just a common sense thing. Winter begins March 20th. The Passover would have been March 18th.
You meant to say spring begins March 20th.
Right. Flock. Spring begins March 20th. The Passover would have been March 18th. The Passover, it tells you in the scriptures, the Passover has to be in a month of what? Abib. Has to be in a month of Abib, which is always going to be in the springtime. So it can't be before that. It has to always fall in the month of Abib, because and if you want to know when Abib is, and that has to always fall in that spring season. The spring is always, that's why when you read in the Bible dictionary, it'll always say Abib is around March, April. It'll say this season is around May, June. It'll say the tabernacles is around September, October. There's a reason why our days are always going to overlap. And the reason why is because we're always going to be 11 days short. So we always have to add that interlunar moon every 3 to 4 years, or 2 to 4 years rather, in order to compensate losing those 11 days every year.
So next year, from what we're calculating now, and I'll let Matthias speak on it, Malak, next year, most likely we won't have to add the intercalary of the 13th month, because if we're having it the 19th this year, next year is going to be sometime around the 8th or the 9th, which is still okay. So we won't have to add, if I'm correct, Matthias, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely correct. And the reason why is because, this is why I want people to like take their culture to a next level and try ask yourself, could you farm in the wintertime? The ground is frozen. See, the more you get in tune with the Most High, and the more you get in tune with really being an Israelite, everybody want to be a warrior Israelite. Warriors got to eat, though. You understand what I'm saying? David wasn't a warrior first. He was a shepherd. You understand what I'm saying? David wasn't a warrior first. He was a shepherd before he was a warrior. And what made him a great king is because he made sure that all the sheep, he didn't lose one of them on his watch. That's what made him a great king. You see what I'm saying? So before we get in tune with that warrior side, we got to get in tune with who we really are. You understand what I'm saying? We're that people that were self-sufficient, that lived off the earth, that wasn't dependent on no other nation because we had the Most High in Yahushua. So when you tap into that source, go in your backyard, you'll see how hard farming is. You understand? You see how hard it's just putting some tomatoes down. You'll see how hard but it's a beautiful thing, because guess what? Then you don't got to worry about buying no more vegetables.
Khan. So Malak, is that good, or you had anything else you wanted to ask the brother? If you do, go ahead.
No, that was it. That's something that I had in mind. Last week, I was just wondering if, the fruits that's supposed to be ripening by that time would have, even if hypothetically we would be keeping it, if we were to celebrate the Pesach in March or whatnot. That's what I want to know. So the water for clearing that up.
But like I said, anybody that doesn't want to add a 13th with their congregation, like I said, I'm cool with that. But next year, when their Passover is definitely going to be in February, they still going to have to add it. You still got to play catch up anyway, because you don't want to look like a sore thumb. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it to be the middle of February and brothers is like, oh, it's cold. It makes no sense. Because if your Passover is going to be in February, then your first fruits is right there in March of this. It's just going to be out of whack. And then it's going to be to the point to where all your winter feast days are going to be in the summer, and your summer feast days are going to be in the winter. Because every 3 years, you're going to lose 33 days.
Wow. This is Khan. All praise. All right, King Malak. We'll talk. All right, Lord?
Khan, tell Malak, if I'll come see brothers, man. I'll come see brothers. Khan.
All praises, man. This is definitely my rib is watching. She just texted me and said she's totally lost. That's the point. You have to have, see, the thing is, and I'll let you come in 1 second, Elder Zab. You have to have brothers in Israel. Like, everybody's not going to be a historian. Everybody's not going to be a linguist. Everybody's not going to be a concordance where you automatically know where every scripture is off the top of your head. You just know where everything is. Everybody's not going to be that. You got to have somebody that deals with the calendars. You have to have that. As you can see, that in itself is a great labor of study in itself, by itself.
And see, when you deal with calendars,
yeah,
you deal with time zones.
Yeah,
you deal with all that. Like, if I ask a person, what's the first place on the earth that sees the sun, and what's the last place? What's the first place on the earth where the sun, where the new day begins, and what's the last place? They won't be able to tell you, but they'll sit there and tell you the earth is flat. Yeah, okay, keep thinking that.
Right.
And if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But all I'm saying is, when you go up and down continents, and you study the heavens and all these different states and these different countries, and you check it out, you'll realize, listen, there's no way that Earth is flat.
This is a lifelong study, bro, and I'm not ashamed to say that when it comes to this stuff, I come to you. You know what I'm saying? I study. See, when Lawya was alive, he did it to a degree, and he didn't tell me. He probably got some of that from YouTube.
But me, you know, me and Lawya was. We had a beautiful relationship. Although I had to check him on some things, but that's my brother. I love him.
We all did. You know what I'm saying?
I love the hell out of him. But like I said, I mean, me and you, we were young men breaking bread. Remember my mom's crib back in the days and all that, man. Brooklyn.
So,
all over the place, man.
I didn't really take an interest in the calendar. Like basically, Bun would say the Passover is such and such date. I'd be like, Con, like cool, no problem. I didn't take an interest in it. When he died, you know, amongst our camp, we was like, damn. So the brother Zahab that's on the phone with us, he kind of took the mantle up, and he's been doing it for years. You see what I'm saying? And it's something that I, you know, a lot of times I have to go to him for it because I just haven't been interested in studying it. And I'm not ashamed to say that because every man has their gift. You see what I'm saying?
That's their gift.
That's like when, the body. You know what I mean?
When it came to history, you know, and I know history, but I know you and Bun always knew more than me. So I knew where to go. You know what I'm saying? But that's being a part of the body.
That's because the body,
as we came up as young men, everybody found their niche. And then they kind of excelled and magnified and glorified, you know, that they glorified it. You understand what I'm saying? All in the name of Yahweh Shah. So that's just what it is. You know.
So family, listen, I don't want to keep, you know, Mathathyahwah on too long. The brother has a family that he got to tend to, and he's been on for a long time. I'm gonna give y'all like another minute or two. If you have any questions, this is the time for you to put it in the comments. Let me see it real quick. I'm on the comments. I'm looking right now. If you have a question, ask it. Let's go ahead and get the brother, you know, the question. And after that, then, you know, I'm gonna let him off. All right. I'd like to go too. I've been on for a long time. I got a camp. My camp is having a conference call after this, so it's on to other stuff, man. So I'm not even done for the night, you know.
All right.
You have a question. You have another, you know, I'm saying minute and a half to ask it in the comments.
If not, like I said, just give my information, post it up, Matthias7@gmail.com, or just hit my inbox up, Mathathyahwah Lawya on Facebook.
Right, I'll put his Facebook back in the comments again. The brother Marvin Moe asked the question, and I'll start it off and I'll pass it to you. He asked, how do we calculate the 13th month? I'm going to say, and Mathathyah, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we don't calculate the 13th month. What we need to do is we need to look at when the Passover is falling organically. And if it's falling too early, like this year we had it at March 18th, if it's falling too early, we know that we need to add a 13th month. If you want to add on to that, go ahead.
See, that's how you start calculating it, right? You start it like that. But see, like I said, with me, because I check out the moons all the time, I me personally, how I know, like I said, how I know, you know, I'm gonna show it off again, Dan. I know through this, you know what I'm saying? I know through this, you know, and again, I know through this, but then I know for a fact there's several total lunar eclipses that come in that time period. So as I'm observing that, but then also I'm observing how the days are falling out of their origin, the organic feast days are falling out of the organic harvest seasons. I know when I look at that, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is the year that we got to do it. So when I did it this year, I knew it was time to do it. But that's something that's like some higher knowledge, you know. But it just has to fall in its proper harvest season. All the feast days have to fall in their seasons.
Sword of Yisrael asked the question. So, you know, unfortunately, sometimes you find yourself repeating yourself a little bit, but that's what we do as teachers. He asked the question. He says his apologies, but I'm new to this. When is the start of the year? March or April? I say it depends. It really depends. But I'll let
March,
you.
April. It's always the start of our year is the first moon of the year. But when you're dealing with a solar calendar, it's always going to be around March, April.
So how do you? So I guess his question is, which is it? Which is really not, because it's not which is it? It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like some years it'll be March, some years it'll be April. But I guess, can you go a little deeper with him for that?
Okay, I'm gonna go to it deeper. Again, a lunar calendar is the reason why I say it's two answers. The new moon is the first month of the lunar year. But now, because everybody's been programmed and born and raised to follow a solar calendar, a lot of people don't know how to let go of the solar calendar for a minute to understand the lunar calendar. The reason why I say March, April is because a lunar calendar year is shorter than a solar calendar year. A lunar calendar year is 365 days. A solar calendar year, a lunar calendar year is 354 days. A solar calendar year is 365 days. So a solar calendar being 365 and a lunar calendar being 354 days, that means the solar calendar has 11 more days. So because of that, that's why I said March, April, because every 3 years, the new year is going to shift out of April and fall into March, like how it did last year. It fell into March.
Mr. Hobb, I see you're muted. Did you have something you wanted to add on or no?
No, I just wanted to ask one last question, man. Listen, you got to be, the scriptures talk about if you know a man has wisdom, wear out the steps of his door, man. I believe that's in Sirach chapter 6, man. So, Elder, be careful what you say, because I'll be hitting you up every day, man. You know
let me say this right. Hey, brother, do I sleep? Do I sleep?
No. Because
I haven't slept in like 26 years, King.
God.
That's how long I've been in the truth for. 27 years this year, actually. No, 26 years this year.
God.
I haven't slept since I walked into this truth, King, because you don't sleep. Because this is not our rest.
God.
Listen, if Satan don't sleep, then that means I don't sleep. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm trained to operate on 4 hours sleep a day, King. And that's a fact. For the last, how many years you know me out?
19 years.
I don't sleep. Brothers will tell you. It's never, I wonder if Matthias is up. 9 times out of 10, I'm up. You understand what I'm saying? Because I just don't sleep.
And a lot of the brothers who they new in this thing coming up, they don't understand that when you're in a position of leadership, you're a servant to the people.
Listen, do Yahweh shall sleep? No.
Exactly.
That's why he said the Son of Man didn't have a place to lay his head.
God.
All he was saying was like, yo, I don't sleep.
God.
So if my big brother didn't sleep, why should I?
God.
I can wait.
Now, my final question to you is this: going back to Deuteronomy 16, verse 9, right? Now it says, 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn.
Right.
Now,
so the key is you got to know when to put the sickle to the corn. That's why I said, in order to start your barley harvest, you have to know when the barley starts to be in the ear. Then you have to know when it's earing time. So, like we read in Exodus 34:21, once earing time begins, that's when you know to cut it, and then you start numbering the 7 weeks.
Now, my question is, to us in captivity, living in the projects in New York, how do we know when is the earing time?
And all you got to do is, the Farmer's Almanac is a great book to have.
That's the question, King. Bring it out, Elder.
The Farmer's Almanac is a great book to have. See, that's a true science book right there. Or the Holman's Bible Atlas is another good book to have.
So those would be 2 reference points for brothers to go to start to get an understanding of, the proper season. Then
Done. Yeah. Absolutely, King. Absolutely.
That was my question, Elder.
Good. Absolutely. That's it. That's the wild.
So family, y'all, all right. Nobody's really asking any relevant. Y'all asking other questions. Y'all not asking any relevant questions to what the elder's talking about. So we're gonna take it as though you brothers and sisters understood or understand what's being said. I'm gonna let the elder go. If y'all can, you can go ahead and rewind the video if you didn't, if there's anything, and just watch it again.
And let me read. Let me read the scripture also.
Go for it.
To what we was talking about. This is Exodus 13 verse 10, and it's referring to the Passover. It's saying, "Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year." So you can understand what season is supposed to be in. It has to be in that Abib season, which is the spring season, and it has to be around the time when the barley is just in the ear. Not earing time, but when the barley is just in the ear. That's how you know. Like when you said, well, what scripture can we use to show? This is a scripture that you can use to show. It says, thou shalt therefore keep, because when you read the whole 13th chapter and the 12th chapter, 13th and 14th chapter, it's going to the Passover and Exodus. So when it says, thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in its season from year to year, Like I said, it has to be in his season.
That's the key. That's the scripture. That's the beautiful precept.
Season.
So if it's not in the season, you have to do something to make sure that it's in the season. There it is.
Right. So if you don't do nothing to keep the Passover, the first fruits, the tabernacles in their season, what's going to happen is you're going to be celebrating these feast days in the winter and then in the fall, because you're going to keep falling every 3 years a month behind.
Khan, Elder Khan. Tawab.
Khan. So all praise to Yahweh Shah for that.
Wait 1 second, Matthias, before I let you go real quick. Somebody said something in the comment boards. If you want to address this, where is it? It says, when we add months, will there be 2 moons in very close proximity, like 2 weeks? I say no.
No, it won't be, because you add a month at the ending of a month. You don't add a month in the middle of a month. You see what I'm saying? See, are he talking about 2 moons in Esau's month?
No, I guess the person is talking about the way that you're adding the 13th moon. I'll read the question again. When we add months, or we're not adding months, so we're only adding one moon. But when we add months, will there be 2 moons in very close proximity, like let's say 2 weeks apart?
No, Lunar. See, the thing is this: instead of, like, for example, next month, instead of saying that's the first month, you're just saying it's the 13th month. That's all you're doing. You're just saying it's the 13th moon. That's all you're doing. It's not like you're creating this moon and you're putting it in the middle. No, instead of calling this the first moon, the moon that's coming up, instead of saying it's your first moon, or I'm sorry, when we add the moon, rather. Hold on, let me look at my calendar and tell you when the new moon, the 13th moon.
Can I say something real quick while you're looking for that, Matthias?
Right. Instead of saying Tuesday, March 5th is the first new moon of the year, of the next year, we're saying no. In order to keep the feast day, the ordinances in its season from year to year, we're making March 5th the 13th moon in order to compensate keeping the Passover, the first fruits, and the tabernacles, or what's called the Ingathering, in their proper seasons. That's why we're adding it. So we're not doing anything special, because if you know the circuits of the moon, every 29 to 30 days is a lunar phase.
Now, Brother Gary Moore, I'm looking at your comments, and I'm not sure where you're coming from. So you put a comment, no, we don't add anything. Then your next comment was, Yah adds the months. Then your next comments was, keep adding months till you see the Abib. So you're like, you're all over the place. I don't really know what you're trying to get at. But what I will say is this. We're using the terminology and phrase. That's why brothers got to use some common sense and some reasoning. When we're saying that we're adding a month, we're not adding anything. What we're doing is making sure that we're keeping the moon, the high holy days in the proper seasons the Most High told us to do. That's what we're doing. So sometimes we have to wait. If you want to use the word wait, we may have to wait an extra month to have the Passover to make sure it falls in the barley season. If you like the word wait better than add, then we'll use the word wait. Instead of us having the Passover March 18th, we're going to wait a month and have it April 19th so that it's in the barley season. We're not adding anything. We're not adding to the word of the Most High. We're not adding anything. We're making sure we're having it in the season the Most High told us to have it. That's what we're doing.
Hey, let me read the scripture, right? It's 2 Peter's 1:20. Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation, right? For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of Yahweh, as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. So I don't know who this dude is. The Most High moved my spirit to do this, to have been doing this for over 20-some years. So if I want to say, yeah, I want to add something, yeah, I'm moved to say that. So what's the point? Don't play with word semantics. Save that for your wife and children. Save the word semantics and the word games and the word play. Save all that stuff for your wife and your children. You know what the hell I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, then just delete yourself. You understand what I'm saying? But don't play games with what I'm saying when you know what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, we know that. But the Most High, he doesn't talk to men. Because guess what? When the Most High was talking to the congregation during the time of Moses, what happened? Nobody wanted to talk to him back. So he uses men, holy men, to do this work. So did that answer his question?
Hopefully. So the Lion's Den, I don't know if you're an ex-member of HYK12. Are you? The Lion's Den on the comment boards. Are you an ex-member of HYK12? Because you seem like you're holding some animosity. I didn't really tell the elder that you were saying what you were saying. But are you an ex-member of HYK12? Is that what you're saying? Now you asked me about celebrating the Passover with Freemasons, which is Sarnetta. That's what you said, right? Sarnetta is my brother. He's lost right now, but he's my brother. But I never celebrated Passover with Sarnetta. If you listen carefully, I said I went to ISUPK's Passover, and he was at their Passover. He was at their Passover, not mine. That's not to say if the brother asked me, could he come to my Passover, he couldn't come, because the Most High might wake that brother up. So I don't know. Okay, so the Lion's Den, you said, yes, you're a former member of HYK12. So you said the Most High broke up the school. What does that have to do with what we're talking about right now? And also, if you're feeling a certain way, let me just say this real quick, Matthias. Also, if you're feeling a certain way, right, whatever you're feeling, whatever went on at HYK12 that got you upset, I put the brother Matthias' Facebook page on the screen like 3 times. I'll put it again. Why don't you inbox him and talk to him directly? Like, what does this have to do with the topic? Why is this on the comment board? I'm going to put his Facebook page on the page once again. Okay, you can reach out to this brother. He was one of the elders over the HYK camp. You can reach out to the brother and talk to him if there's something you want to talk about. I was never a member of HYK12, but Matthias is my brother, so I don't have nothing to say about that. All right.
Again, listen.
Page again, Matthias, go ahead.
If any former member from HYK want to say something to me, they know I make house visits. Leave your address. I'll be in front of your door. I don't do that. I don't do that going back and forth on internet stuff. And any member that was in HYK that ever had a problem with me, they knew I met him at their door, and we talk like men.
All right, so he put something on the comment boards, Matthias. I'm gonna read it because everybody's seeing it. He put something on the comment boards. I put your Facebook page. He said because you said don't buck up against the elders, and you said don't buck up against the elders. Okay, good. That if he said that, go to his Facebook page. It's right underneath your comment. Go to his Facebook page and talk to the man before you put everything on Facebook or on the comment boards here. This has nothing to do with us or what we're talking about today.
You got clowns.
Go to his Facebook page. Can you do that, brother?
Not even using his real name, so I know who it is. When they don't use their real name, I know who it is. They're cowards. But I know who it is directly. Effeminate men. It's effeminate men. I know who it is directly. Like I said, if you got a problem with me personally or whatever, my number is 347-232-5385. My address is 70 Palm Street, Newark, New Jersey. I'm good with that. We can talk like men.
Just go to the Lion's Den. Just go to his page. Go to his Facebook.
We can talk like men.
Just go to his Facebook page. Inbox him.
347-232-5385. That's the cell number. You know who I am.
You're gonna get a lot of calls tonight, bro. People are gonna rewind this video.
The address is 70 Palm Street, Newark, New Jersey. I have no fear. We can talk like men in the spirit of Hamashiach Yahushua if you want to do that.
All right, so about that new moon, right? So about that new moon, man.
I wasn't always an elder. Just throwing it out there.
And none of us were. We definitely.
Oh, don't start talking that getting your panties moist up here. We talking knowledge, man.
Hey, Matthias, one of the brothers asked. He said he doesn't do Facebook, but he does YouTube. Do you? I know Itazaya has a YouTube page. What about you? Or one that you check because he might.
You know what? The brothers in my camp have been pushing me to do more of these topics like this. So I'm in the works of getting all this stuff together now. So like I'm getting my new laptop coming up in a week or so. But I'm about to start putting everything back on Facebook page like we used to do in the HYK days. I'm gonna create a whole new page, Apostle of New Jerusalem page. So I'm in the works of doing that now.
But he's asking me about YouTube though. You got a page on YouTube?
Tell him to go to ANJ12.
ANJ12?
ANJ12.com. That's our website. We got stuff that leads to our old YouTube page. Our YouTube page. Like I said, I'm in the process of getting a new page now. Because brothers want me to do more class topics.
Yeah, we do. We all do. I do too, man. So absolutely, you know what I'm saying? Because we all learn from each other, and I definitely learn from you. The Most High is giving you a gift, and so we trying to. You're here to share your gift and your talents the Most High gave you. And brothers want to. So it happened to me yesterday when I did my topic yesterday, man. You know what I'm saying? GMS was up in there, and they want to ask me about the mark of the beast, and I'm talking about us as brothers and sisters as camps having love for each other. But that love is not important.
Exactly. And I'll be waiting for that phone call too.
Mark of the beast. I can't talk to my family and my nation about loving each other. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
My thing is this. Let me just address that quick fast. I haven't been a part of HYK for 10 years. You asking me now? I've been a part of HYK for 10 years. We've been on Apostle New Jerusalem for like 10 years now. You asking me now?
That's how it goes, bro. There's never. I know you don't do the social media thing that much, so you'll understand when you start coming back and being more.
I know who it is. I know who it is.
They don't care about the topic, what you talk about. You could be talking about one thing. They come and ask you something else, and if you don't answer, they're gonna raise hell because
exactly.
You're trying to. Sometimes you're trying to be focused because you're trying to feed the people and give them the information they need. But somebody always wants you to come and talk about what because they want that drama. You see what I'm saying?
Because that's all it is Satan. That's all it is, King. It's just
Satan. I learned to ignore it, bro. I don't give a shit.
Like I said,
man, let me say this real quick. Salaki to cut you. I'm gonna say this real quick, and I don't give a damn. I see Tahar made a video about me today. You know what I'm saying? Good luck with me watching it, though. I'm not watching it because I stand by what I said yesterday. I stand by what I said. You know what I'm saying? And you know I'm telling the truth about what I said about One West. And I mean, the old one, and it is what it is. I'm not doing that. I knew you was gonna do that. I'm not doing it. I'm not feeding into no bullshit at all. I have a no tolerance for no bullshit from nobody. None of you GMS cats, none of you dudes. Like I said, I'm a lot of your daddy, man. I'm a lot of you daddy. Because when y'all came into the truth, y'all was watching me and Lawya and GMS. That's what y'all were doing. That's real. And a lot of you other cats too. Y'all was watching us. You didn't know nothing about being a goddamn Israelite. When I was on them damn hot-ass floor doing push-ups in 92 and 93 on a goddamn hottest floor in Marcus Garvey Park, some of you niggas wasn't born and some of you niggas was in the world and know nothing about being an Israelite. So you can't tell me nothing. And I'm the most humble brother ever. But you definitely not going to come on my disrespecting me. The hell with you. Simple as that. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so that's it, man. I'm going to keep it spiritual because, like I said, whoever it is, they got the number. They got the address. Just come in peace. That's all you got to do.
That's it. So nobody else
stick with the topic. Because 9 times out of 10, they ain't celebrating the feast days anyway.
They're not celebrating the right. We try to bring the people the information. Take it or leave it, family. Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? We're not telling you got to, you know what I'm saying? We're just putting the information out. You do with it what you want to do with it. You could take it, you could throw it out, you could say whatever. Who cares? You know?
It's just the science of the Most High. That's what it is.
That's it.
See,
you know what it is? I can say this. I know we kind of deviate, but let me say this, man. I say this all the time. My camp knows I say this all the time, man. You know, I hate to say it because you got people that's not Israelites that's watching this, but the majority of you Israelites, the majority of y'all are religious for real. Y'all say you not, but yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because you read the Bible like a Christian. Like you don't take time to really delve into your culture and really understand what it is that your culture consists of. Not just going to celebrate the Passover, but how do we arrive to the fact that the Passover is when it is?
Exactly.
What was the purpose of us doing the things we did? Why did the Most High tell the priests they had to wear linen? What is it about linen?
Right.
That's all in itself. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff, man. Understanding like Solomon said in the Apocrypha, understanding the cycles of heaven, the circuits of heaven, and how the way to start the sun, the moon, and the stars. Solomon said he understood all that stuff, man.
Exactly. And it's there for you to learn.
It's there for you to learn.
A lot of people don't realize that the planets are actually moving stars. That's why they were given names. That's a whole total different level. They ain't ready.
They're not interested in learning nothing, man. They just want to want to read the text and be a Christian Israelite, because that's what the majority of Israel is. Because when you try to bring them anything outside of drama, like if I'm doing a show about drama, talking about somebody, everybody love that shit, man. If I'm doing a show where me and Garfield is going back and forth debating it, y'all love that shit. You see what I'm saying? But when we talking about real information like this, understanding your culture,
they don't understand the culture.
You don't care about that stuff.
Like I said, you got a lot of camp Israelites out here.
Crazy, man.
They just like the action that goes on in camp. But like, and that's why I said anybody could be a YouTube prophet, but how many people could be an apostle of Christ?
They can't.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? We listen, man. I'm gonna say this, man, not to be funny, not to pat ourselves on the back, but me and this brother, we're solidified. And I don't give a damn what nobody, we're solidified in this. And we're bricks in this, and we're part of the foundation of this Israelite thing. And if we didn't do what we did, there wouldn't be the majority of you brothers and sisters today. And I said it yesterday, I'm gonna say it again. There would not be. That work and that foundation had to be put in so y'all could come on and y'all could build on that foundation. And we want all of you to be greater than we was, to know more.
Be humble.
That's the point. We're not trying to hold nobody back, but at the same time, don't try to tear us down. And that's what's going on. Like we cannot do one topic without people coming on the comment boards and talking stuff, or somebody want to come on from when you was a part of HYK, which was damn more than
that was a decade ago. That was a decade ago.
Like, what are we doing here?
And I was, but see what brothers don't understand, Dan, we was building Jersey before HYK.
Right.
I was out building Jersey before HYK.
I don't even go into half the history because I don't be like it. I don't be want people to say that all I do is try to, you know what I'm saying? So I don't even go into half the history.
That's why I tell cats, yeah, we was the first teaching. HYK wasn't the first school in Jersey.
No.
Back then it was Iwalum, Aria Rum, myself, you, Yaikwabala,
right.
Lawya, back in Brick Towers.
We broke the matrix in Jersey, but I never talk about that because I don't be wanting to
broke that matrix.
I never talk about that. You see what I'm saying?
Scared to go to Jersey. Remember that? Men were scared to go to Jersey.
You know why Ben was scared to go to Jersey? Because of what happened to Abba Bivens. That's why.
Exactly.
Bivens was, especially Newark. Where did that shit happen to Bivens? That should happen to Newark. So Cass was shook about going to teach in Newark because the Muslims put hands on Abba Bivens. If you don't know the story of the Israelites, I'm saying, like I said, you got to come to us. We'll tell you. Men put hands on Abba Bivens in Newark, New Jersey, so that the elders of One West, that's why they had camps everywhere else, but they didn't have a camp in Jersey. In Newark, they didn't have that. We went out there and broke the matrix in Jersey.
Yeah,
nobody talks about that shit.
Yeah, they surrounded us. Yeah, they threatened us. We told them Negroes, we see your asses next week.
It is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's it, Mathathyahwah. Like, I'm not trying to hold you, brother. I know you already said it, but just for the people that may have just got on, because now, of course, you know what I'm saying, people are coming on now that we've been on for like 2 or 3 hours. Tell people where they could reach you. You know what I'm saying? You give your website again, give your Facebook again, so forth and so on.
Apostles of New Jerusalem. You can email me at anj12 mathaf7@gmail.com or hit me up on Facebook, Mathathyahwah Lawya.
All praises, brother. I love you, man.
Love you to death.
And I gotta have you more on here because the majority of the people, is really only one person. The majority of the people, they love you. Even Garfield, who me and him is at intellectual war. He said his exact words on the comment boards was, in this area, he said, "You are a beast," and that's high praise from somebody that doesn't like Israelites. He said you're a beast. So
tell him, get that telescope game up. Get that telescope game up.
That's what it do. So you're doing a great job. The people loved you on here, so that means I'm gonna be calling you to bring you back on here for some other stuff. All praises, bro. Yo, Elder Zahab, you have any last words before we get out of here?
No, I don't want. I want to be a part when you make that calendar for this year. However you could disseminate it out to the MAC, please let me know because I'm working on a calendar for my camp as well.
What I want to do is I want to work with every man in the MAC because we got to start from somewhere. So I want to work with every man in the MAC as we get on a conference call or something, just so everybody can understand how the Spirit shows me how to do this, the calendar setup, and everybody could just follow along with it. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of science in it, King. It's a lot of science in it. A lot of science. A lot of science. So, because like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. Even the brothers in Florida, right? Kingdom and Nation and Priests. Sometimes their new moons may be different from ours. Based off how their sun rises and sets and their moon rises and sets. Ash might be different from ours. But we got to come up with something unified. You understand what I'm saying? And then if you get some brothers from the West Coast, they're definitely going to be different from ours because that's a 3-hour time zone. You see
what we have to do? Mathathyahwah, it's dawned on me as you say that. You know that we're you know what I'm saying? Well, the family doesn't know, so we're sharing with them now. The Maccabees Alliance Council has 7 camps in it currently. And every year we're having a Passover in a different city of the camps, you know what I'm saying, of each camp. So what I'm saying to you, Mathathyahwah, is maybe when we're calculating the Passover, we have to see what city we're keeping it in.
Absolutely, and do it from there.
And
we could do it from there. And that'd be an easy thing to do too, King, so that won't be a problem.
Khan, all praises. Well, I want to say the water for for coming on and taking time out your busy schedule.
Khan, absolutely, King.
I hope they appreciate it.
I'll be on here more, King. I'll be on here more, King.
You already know, man. Get that laptop fixed, bro.
Yeah, you listen. The brother tell you, I was trying to put on my school app. It just wasn't working, King. I said, well, everything's gonna be good, but most times, well, by next week I'll be back in effect.
Hey, I don't want. Listen, one last thing, man. I'm not trying to stir up nothing, man, but you're gonna have to come hard with a class about that flat Earth, man. You hear me? We're not gonna get too in depth with it now because you gotta go, Elder.
Let me say this, man.
Learn from you because
I say this.
a lot of things on the opposite, but I'm willing to learn from you because you're an elder.
Let me say this, right? And I don't knock. It's not a disrespect to anybody that believes that the Earth is flat, right? But it's like this. When you check out NASA, because everybody says, oh, NASA means deceiver, and they deceive everybody into thinking the Earth is round. And I tell people all the time, that's a lie. Because NASA, they don't study the Earth. They assist in studying the Earth. They don't study the Earth. The acronyms for NASA is strictly dealing with the heavens and all that stuff. Now, when you read on it, you can even go on a website. They tell you straight up, they assist in studying the Earth, meaning they take the pictures from satellite, but then they have people that are geographers that study the Earth. So now, if you want to know what NASA lied about, it's a lot of things that's dealing with the heavens. NASA lied about saying that the Earth revolves around the sun. That's a lie, because we know sunrise, sunset. You understand what I'm saying? NASA lied when they say, oh, that the planets can be inhabited. That's a lie, because the planets can't be inhabited, because the planets are, the word planet just means moving star. They're not made to be inhabited. The word, that's why Jupiter, Venus, Mars, Neptune, all those stars have different names, because those are the stars that move and they have color to them. And they're all unique in their own way. That's why they were given names. That's what NASA lied about. Now, when you deal with the Earth, right, and let's just deal with the Earth on a common sense level, you got to ask yourself, because now my oldest daughter, she lived in Japan. She lived in Japan for about 2 years, right? So now, I worked at night for 6 years, but for 2 years, she would always call me. And this is what I say for people who believe in a flat Earth. When the sun is directly over the Earth, or if you even put light directly over an object, because the sun is a light that gives heat, it will illuminate everything. How is it that Japan, being 14 hours ahead of Newark, New Jersey, in time, that I could look out my window when it's pitch black dark, but then she's on FaceTime, and on that side of the Earth, it's total sunlight. It's a lot of things you got to explain to me scientific wise, not reading it in a book. I mean, you got to go do this research yourself. You understand? You got to explain to me why in Barrow, Alaska, the shortest day of the Earth, which is coming up in June, is only 3 hours and 22 minutes. Then you got to explain to me why you can have certain parts of the Earth that are 6 months at a time in darkness, or 3 months at a time in darkness, 3 months in light. There's a reason why these things happen. But if a man is just on Google all day reading conspiracy theories instead of going to get a telescope and checking it out for himself, because if it's like this, if I go to one of the highest mountains in the world, right, and I take a powerful telescope, I should be able to see from one end of a flat Earth to the next if I'm at the highest point in the Earth. But you can't do that. It's a reason why you can't do that. But see, men, they read a lot of books, and Solomon tells you about the making of many books. You understand what I'm saying? Much study wearies the flesh. When you could go to certain places in this earth and determine for yourself. Like I was said, if the earth is flat, then why on the East Coast, right? And you can look this up. Why on the East Coast that in Florida, the sun sets at one time, and then in Virginia, it sets at another time. In New York, it sets at another time. And in Canada, and if you go draw a straight line, in all them places, the sun sets differently. That means the earth can't be flat. It has to have some type of arc to it.
Hey, Matthias.
That's a different story, though.
You are definitely.
That's a different story, King.
You definitely got to come back because I'm looking at the comment boards. As soon as you start talking about that,
Hit
it
it up.
right back to life, man. You don't raise the dead. It wasn't
That's a different story.
comments in there. Then you start
That's a different story.
Yo,
they get crazy in the comment boards. So you got to come back.
Story, King. That's a different story.
Please, Elder Slack, listen.
And don't get me wrong. Whether you believe the earth is flat or round, that's not going to determine your salvation.
That's not salvation. That's why.
That's not going to determine your salvation. But let's become scientists. And like I said, when you a scientist, when you roll with me, you better have one of these. You better have a dope. You better have a dope telescope. You better have even a dope or microscope, and you better have your passport ready because we're gonna do some traveling.
Other one.
That's all I'm saying.
I just brought that up because look, man, everybody walk. They got to be thoroughly convinced in this walk to know. So that's why I brought that up, you know. And I have a few things that I've researched, but it's not on the level as you. And I respect you as an elder. That's why I brought that out there. But I don't think that now at the end of the live stream we should get full into it. That's like
no. Just ask a question out there. Like I said, I love anybody. Let me tell you something. I love anybody that believes that. And it's like this. You gonna show your knowledge, and I'm gonna show my knowledge. We still gonna be brothers because that's what the Maccabees Alliance Council is all about, King. It's about being better men than what our predecessors was. And the reason why I say it is because I came from a generation where if you had a different doctrine, you was the devil. You was the devil. You was getting curses sent up on you, the whole 9 yards. We bigger than that now. So it's a lot of things we gonna disagree on. A lot of things. That's just it. You know what I'm saying? I still love brothers, but you're gonna prove your science, and I'm gonna prove my science. You know what I'm saying?
What's funny about this whole flat Earth thing? If I could just say, we're not really getting on it. You know what's so funny about the Israelite community is split on the flat Earth.
Yeah.
The Kemetic community is split on the flat Earth.
Everybody is.
It's that's some shit. Like you might have Israelites siding with Kemetic brothers because they both believe the flat Earth.
Exactly.
Siding with Kemetic niggas that don't. You know what I mean? It's crazy. That shit's
funny.
I never thought that topic of all topics would be like that. Shit is crazy, bro.
Exactly. But that shouldn't determine a person's salvation. You know what I'm saying?
That's why we don't bring it up.
That's why I don't bring it up because it's what it is.
Because what you brought what you brought knowledge of to keep in the high holy days is more paramount. Is more important than the flat Earth. That's why I didn't say anything. But I've done had this discussion with brothers close to me and brothers online and so on and so forth. But I know what? Hey, it's not a salvation topic.
It's not a salvation topic.
I don't push it like
that's
that.
what you do. That's what you do, King. I'm cool with that.
Exactly. Come.
Listen, I'm cool with that. You know, it's no big deal. You know, and that's just what because it's not about. It's you know, I'm not gonna sit up there and condemn you if that's what you want. Look, as long as you're not changing a word, I'm cool. This word as it is written, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So it's the wild, man. So all praises to Hamashiach Yahweh. He shows us all things. That's just it.
Yes, man. Yo, thank you, King. You already know, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, thank y'all brothers for coming on, man. I appreciate y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, I love both of y'all brothers. You know what I'm saying? Mathathyahwah, my brother from another mother, you already know.
Exactly, King. We was babies in this thing.
Me and you, listen, man, any man that could go through what we went through from the time that me and you came into this Israelite thing,
absolutely,
and still be here pushing that, man, I know you a real nigga, man. I know you, and I'm saying, I'm gonna use street talk. I know you a real nigga, because, man, what we done seen, we don't talk about this shit. We done seen and what we done been through. You're a real brother, man, and I love the fact, man, that you still pushing strong, like I'm still pushing strong, brother, because I got somebody that when I'm a little weak, when I could call. And you understand me because you was right there next to me, bro. So you understand.
Iron sharpeneth iron, King.
That's what it do.
That's
what it do, man. So once again, family, listen. Passover 2018 Maccabees Alliance Council is in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm gonna have the flyers for y'all real soon. I got my brother Asher Allah working on that.
Good.
You know, you don't have to be part of a camp to come to the Passover. It's the Lord's Passover. You say if you're willing to travel to Cleveland, you can come. We had it last year in this area where I'm at.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Cleveland, Ohio. Everybody's welcome.
I'm excited about Cleveland.
Yeah, me too, brother. I just went to the Truth Explosion in November, man. And if what I saw out there for that is any indication of what they're gonna do for the Passover, we're gonna have a ball.
And I couldn't get out there, but I heard it was too wild.
Yeah,
like I said,
Sabak did his thing. Sabak did his thing.
Zabak, Zabak is another one. He's another brother, man. He's another brother from that generation. So
that's right.
But like I said, if anybody, I'll be at the Yasharala Most High's Will next month. I already got my ticket. So anybody wants to talk then, we could talk then if you're coming through. Most High Will, Dan, you get to come through too.
Yeah, I'm coming.
But yeah, man, but all praises, man. Like, and I thank everybody for listening, man, and wanting to learn this knowledge. A different type of knowledge, because it's all types of knowledge in the scriptures. This is just the knowledge on an agricultural, scientific level. Because when you read Genesis, the first chapter, that's a science class right there. That's science, straight science. It has nothing to do with the gospel. That's science, and you need that. It's math and it's science, so we need that. That's why when you go to a university, they put math and science together, because it correlates with each other. Math and science goes together. So
yeah, you can't have one without the other. Yeah, family. So listen, Israel, I love y'all. Some of y'all are inboxing me messages about, people making videos about me based on the video I made yesterday. I don't care. Let me say it again. I don't care. I stand by what I said yesterday in that 3-hour video. I stand by it. I would do it all over again because what I said was true. All right. So with that being said, man, we'll be back here on Maccabeestv real soon. Any information you need from me, you can email me at Maccabeestv@gmail.com. My brother Mathathyahwah.
ANJ12.
Go ahead, Lord.
ANJ12.com. That's the website.
ANJ12.com.
Mathathyahwah Lawya on Facebook.
Mathathyahwah Lawya on Facebook. I'm going to put in the comment boards one more time. And also Mathath7
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. What else do you need? I know a lot of y'all brothers love this brother just from listening
and if you really want to talk, 347-232-5385. You know that number.
Better than me, because I'm never giving out my phone number on social media.
Straight up.
Better than me, Lord.
That's just the hood in me sometimes, Doc. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. People are thanking you on the comment boards for the information. So, you know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High, man.
All praises, all praises.
Hey, Dan, can I plug something real quick before?
Yeah. I know where you're going. Go for it, King.
Hey, Shalom, Israel. I want to let y'all know, man, we did a short movie called Set Apart.
Oh, I checked it out already.
On Vimeo. For the brothers who haven't checked it out, please check it out, man. Support Israel, man. Shalom. I want to say. What you thought about that, Elder?
It was amazing, King. It was amazing.
Man.
Listen, that's us.
Yeah.
The conflicts of an Israelite man, It was the
only reason why I wanted to plug the movie GMS Rebuker and Tempter. He doesn't have a YouTube page yet. He's gonna get one. You can reach him if you're on Facebook. You can reach him at Mathathyahwah Lawya, or you can reach him at Mathath MATHATH7 at gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you want to holler at the brother, I got the information right there on the screen. So for those of y'all that don't know, Lions of Israel, we did our first movie. It's a short film.
Wow.
I'm saying the brother Elder Zahab, the Most High put this, put the spirit on him to do that. It's called Set Apart. He did, he did a great job, put a lot of energy into that. And we're gonna get bigger and better from there, man. We're trying to do different things to, than what we've been doing. Just trying to do different things to get this information out there. How we get out. I'm covering the music end, and I'm covering the music end. The brother's covering the films. And we just doing what we could do, man. Big things in 2018. I'm sure Mathathyahwah one of them got things going on their end for New Jerusalem. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. What y'all gonna see from Lions of Israel in 2018? Y'all about to see some stuff. We got some big things going on in 2018 for the people, not just those of us that know we're Israelites, but we're reaching out to the people that don't know they're Israel. We're gonna help them too, man, because they need help. Our people are in a bad state.
That's how you wake our people up too.
Yeah, man. They need jobs. They need a lot of stuff. They need help, man. We gonna do it. We gonna do it. That's what it do. All right. So I'm about to end the live stream, family. We love y'all. Lions of Israel, Maccabees Alliance Council, Elder Mathathyahwah, Elder Zahab. We say shalom to y'all.
Apostles of New Jerusalem in the building.
Apostles of New Jerusalem in the building. ANJ12.com. Hit them up. Shalom.
Shalom.